Crash Valheim stands injured as someone calls him a failure and questions his actions. A hooded figure then urges Crash to hurry and steal the curse afflicting Lord Arthur. Crash, admitting he is at his limit, declares he will steal it immediately. As Crash Valheim extends his hand to perform a skill, his name is revealed. He is described as a failure despite being born into the strongest bloodline. Crash's eye widens as he concentrates intently. The skill Blackhood then activates, sending purple energy flowing around the hooded figure. This purple energy spikes directly into the hooded figure. Blackhood is explained as a skill capable of stealing curses. Crash bleeds from his mouth, yet he is described as a hero and one of the Azure generation. He vomits as someone offers Lord Arthur a potion nearby. Lord Arthur looks up, his face streaked with blood. Suddenly, a skeletal rider on a winged horse attacks with a scythe and a fiery orb. The skeletal rider's eyes glow blue in a close-up view. The fiery orb impacts the snowy landscape, causing an explosion. Lord Arthur questions how they can fight the Blue Knight of Death with so few people. A sword falls to the ground as Sigrun, Abela, and Mary are mentioned. Feet stand near the fallen sword and someone calls everyone over. Shorin, Efana, Abela, and Mary Diana embrace Lord Arthur, expressing their relief. Crash looks exhausted, wondering if the figure is truly Arthur. He angrily asks what the hell Arthur is doing. Lord Arthur, with blood on his lips, states he is ending this. Crash kneels on the ground as narration declares the world's hope extinguished with only destruction remaining. Crash asks, is they giving up? He questions if he knows how many people sacrificed to get him there. Crash laughs, asking if associating with women has driven Lord Arthur insane. Shorin, Efana, yells at him to be silent. She states Lord Arthur did everything possible, then calls Crash trash, capable only of stealing. Crash reacts to being called trash, retorting that the insult is rich coming from her. He points at the group, questioning how they dare speak that way to their savior. He shouts that none of them would have reached this point without his skill. Crash's face contorts with anger and frustration as he continues yelling. He offers to refresh their memory, beginning with Abela. He reminds Abela she could not use magic without her voice and had begged him to steal her curse. Crash recalls Abela attacking him while he suffered from her curse, just as she does now. Abela looks stunned by his words. Crash tells Abela her attitude of ignoring people has not changed at all. He then addresses Mary Diana, the Empire's strongest spear. Crash describes Mary as a brainless fool who got cursed by everything and cried for him to steal curses. He refers to the princess, who now calls him trash after he sacrificed his own eyes. Shorin, Efana, asks Crash if he understands what she went through helping him. She recounts being targeted and bullied at the academy by the Starin Kingdom faction. Crash is shown being beaten on the ground, while others call him a failure who cannot fight back. Shorin, Efana, states she endured it all and healed Crash's eyes. She did so because he was one of the Azure generation meant to save the world, while she was a useless failure. Crash clutches his head in pain. He questions what all his efforts were for if he was just cleaning up after them. Lord Arthur, with a bleeding lip, says anyone else could have saved the world. He calls out his name. Lord Arthur tells a younger Crash that if only he had led those fools. He says he watched Crash at the front lines of the Azure generation and decided to stay by his side. Lord Arthur asks Crash why he is giving up too. He then states he can tell Crash something now. Lord Arthur declares the world is already finished and he is going to start over from the beginning. Crash reacts in shock, asking if he means to start over. Lord Arthur confirms it is not the first time he has experienced the world's destruction. He reveals his skill is regression. Lord Arthur explains that by acquiring the memory inheritance technique, his companions can also regress with their memories. Crash's eye widens as he considers everyone starting over with accumulated experience. Lord Arthur confirms this would increase the probability of preventing destruction in the next world. Crash looks shocked as Lord Arthur states he will start from the beginning again with the other three. Crash asks what about him. Lord Arthur, with a sinister smile, tells Crash he is not needed. Crash looks utterly devastated. Lord Arthur acknowledges Crash's Blackhood skill can steal even unbreakable curses. He explains that while the skill has its uses, bringing back a worn-out Crash with a ruined body and mind is pointless. Lord Arthur asks what is the point of bringing back that version of Crash. He suggests it would be more efficient to take Crash again fresh, clean, and untouched. Crash realizes he is being treated like a disposable item. Lord Arthur states he planned to use and throw Crash away from the start, and will use him in the next world and the one after that too. Lord Arthur bids Crash farewell. Crash falls to the ground, reaching out as he realizes he knew this all along. He recalls that if Arthur truly thought of him as a companion, he would not have stood by when the Azure generation ignored him. Crash screams for Arthur to take him along. His consciousness fades as the accumulated curses take their toll. Crash realizes his life will end before this world does. He resolves not to let it end like this. Crash remembers Blackhood does not just steal curses, but also works on skills. He decides to try stealing Arthur's skill despite the difficulty activating Blackhood. Lord Arthur stands with his arms outstretched, seemingly ready for regression. Lord Arthur stands with his arms outstretched as a bright light surrounds him. Dark tendrils of Blackhood extend from Crash towards Lord Arthur. Crash's face is covered in blood as he utters a sound of effort. Blackhood's tendrils consume Lord Arthur. The skill symbols on Crash's hand glow. Lord Arthur, with a faint smile, asks Crash if he still has not given up. Crash's hand trembles as he states that Arthur has experienced countless destructions. He recalls Arthur leaving behind used-up versions of him in worlds about to be destroyed. Lord Arthur asks if Crash has finally lost his mind since this time he is the one being left behind. Crash smiles with blood on his face. He points upward as he says maybe he has lost his mind. Crash reminds Arthur that he said this world would only face destruction. Lord Arthur is shown with a pained expression. Crash tells Arthur if he does not want to die he should struggle on his own. He declares it is his turn to say goodbye. Crash's eyes are closed as a faint light surrounds him. His eyes twitch and a tear forms. Crash's eye snaps open with a new determination. He screams as saw his own hands. Crash's eye is wide open in surprise. Crash looks around a grand room realizing where he is. He is now a younger version of himself and recognizes it as the house he lived in as a child. A message confirms regression complete for Crash Valheim at age 15, but he denies being that young. A phenomenon known as world erosion occurs when one world erodes another. This process creates erosion zones, causing significant environmental changes. From these zones, erosion species invade from other worlds, including a fanged creature. Among these invaders, human-resembling ones are specifically called world invaders. People flee in terror from a world invader calling for the knights to intervene. Those who stand against the world erosion are then shown fighting back. A hand grips a staff as combat begins with those known as the Azure Generation. Arthur fights among them. Crash Valheim, whose body seals away curses, had also joined the Azure Generation. He was consistently treated as a mere curse receptacle and is shown bleeding from his wounds. Crash was then betrayed by his companions, reflecting on his miserable life. Crash's eyes snap wide open in surprise. He sits up in bed with a gasp, disoriented. He looks around the grand room questioning if it is truly his. He remembers it was the dead of winter just moments ago, but now it is summer. Crash then realizes he is at the Blue Pine Hall, a place where he stayed as a child. He recalls using Blackhood on Arthur as a last desperate gamble. Crash remembers he actually managed to steal the regression skill from Arthur. He laughs softly in disbelief. He then wonders how he was able to steal the skill at all. People often think Blackhood is a skill usable freely without restrictions. However, it possesses an obvious flaw. If Blackhood can unlock the specific lock generated when a skill activates, then that target skill can be stolen. The lock's value is based on how precious the owner considers it. The difficulty of stealing increases significantly if the owner values it highly, with an example condition being transferring 99% of the world's wealth. Therefore, skills and other things an opponent values highly are far more difficult to steal. Crash thinks that the higher the value, the more conditions there are, and the difficulty should increase proportionally. He then thinks of Arthur, wondering what truly happened. Crash knew Blackhood activated back then, but he could not see a lock. He questions if there was not even a lock to begin with. Crash wonders if Arthur actually wanted to abandon the skill. He considers that Arthur, known as the Hero King, might have wanted to discard the regression skill. Crash remembers Arthur sometimes. Arthur occasionally wore an exhausted expression and moved as if completing a chore. Crash thinks that if Arthur had been repeating the world's destruction over and over again alone, he could not have stayed sane. He concludes that for Arthur, regression was essentially a curse. Crash believes Arthur had those three inherit their memories, attempting to regress together with them. He notes that Arthur had deliberately left him out of that plan. Crash realizes that the fact he could steal the skill with Blackhood means something significant. It means the Arthur he knew lost his regression skill and was left on the brink of destruction. Crash thinks Arthur should be thanking him for stealing the skill he so desperately wanted to throw away. Crash chuckles softly, remembering Arthur always leaving him out. He recalls Arthur always leaving him out. He recalls being treated as if receiving curses was something anyone could do while others merely looked on. He remembers them never caring about their suffering companion. Crash looks menacingly and states, "Serves you right, you bastard." He is in the Blue Pine Hall, noting its small size, and checks his reflection in the mirror before leaving his room. Crash observes his current age is probably around 10, with a short, moderately muscular body. This physique is the result of swinging his sword every single day trying to survive in the Valheim family. His presence at the Blue Pine Hall means this is after the proving ceremony which occurred when he was 10. The Valheim family's proving ceremony is where one proves their abilities by showing which lord they contracted with and what skill they were granted. Direct descendants were always valued by the Valheim family, but Crash was a stark exception. He was born with no martial strength or talent whatsoever, and no lord chose him. After that failure, he was kicked out of the main house. Crash was sent to the Blue Pine Hall, a place where failures are cast away. He now considers himself the biggest failure in the Valheim family, yet Crash is now the only one who knows about the impending world's end. This is the end that even the Azure generation could not stop. He wonders if he could possibly stop it. He questions if he could halt the world's destruction. Crash places his hand on the window. He clenches his fist, telling himself not to be a coward. He realizes it is not about whether he asterisk can stop it, but that he has asterisk to, because if the world is destroyed, he will die too. Crash looks determined and states there is no other choice. He takes a step, thinking about the first move to prevent destruction. An old man then calls out young master to Crash. Crash recognizes him as Ariad and asks what he is doing in a place like this, realizing Ariad is still alive. Ariad is identified as the Blue Pine Hall's only butler. Crash happily calls out Ariad's name, and Ariad responds, "Yes, young master." Crash thinks Ariad was the butler who took care of him a failure, but his expression darkens. He asks Ariad when he plans to use the poison his brother gave him to kill him. Crash's eyes are wide and bloodshot with rage. He identifies Ariad as the very person who poisoned him when he was 14, teaching him about betrayal for the first time. A young woman with dark hair swiftly fights multiple knights within a hall. She unleashes blue flames, easily defeating the knights and sending them flying. Two observing men express surprise that she is only 15, yet the knights cannot even touch her. The young woman is identified as Charlotte Valheim, Crash's half-sister and a sword saint. The men discuss her status as a once-in-a-millennium prodigy for whom the family head has high expectations. They claim she is a genius from a new bloodline, ensuring the Valheim family will not go extinct, while Varrickson Valheim, Crash's half-brother, listens with a dark expression. Varrickson thinks he will wipe out that entire bloodline, his eyes filled with rage. He realizes Charlotte is too risky to target, as her mother is also formidable. Varrickson decides to start by killing the useless failure, referring to Crash. He then speaks to Ariad, noting that Ariad is also having trouble. Varrickson asks Ariad if Crash has blocked his path to advancement, but Ariad remains silent. Varrickson offers Ariad a potion, stating that if Crash drinks it, his daughter's treatment and money problems will be solved. Varrickson asks why Ariad is hesitating, but Ariad thinks he raised young Master Crash like his own son. Varrickson sighs and calls Ariad by name. He asks Ariad if he will choose someone else over his own daughter. Ariad responds with a definitive no. Blood splatters onto a plate containing small pieces of food. A hand is seen reaching towards the plate. A young Crash is shown bleeding from his stomach, crying out Ariad's name. Ariad is seen with blood on his face, and hands apologizing to young Master Crash in a scene from the day before the regression when he attempted the assassination. Young Crash is shown bleeding from his stomach, while Ariad thinks Crash is precious to him like a son. Ariad is seen collapsed on the floor, thinking about what he has done. Unable to bear the guilt, Ariad stole and ate the poison stew himself and died. Back in the present, Crash asks Ariad when he plans to use the poison. He continues asking about the poison his brother gave Ariad to kill him, his eyes wide with rage. Ariad looks startled as Crash asks if he will play dumb and if he was going to sacrifice him for his daughter. Ariad looks downcast as Crash asks if he thought he would not know. Crash thinks he will push Ariad to the edge again, stating he cannot help it if Ariad plays dumb. Crash tells Ariad that if he had not been a failure from the start, Ariad would not have been given such orders. Ariad thinks he expected Crash to blame himself or cry and get angry, but Crash has changed. Young Crash is shown with a determined expression. He tells Ariad to just come with him, and Ariad thinks young Master Crash has changed. They are now in a grand study room. Ariad asks why they are in the study all of a sudden, and young Master Crash calls his name. Young Crash then tells Ariad to cut through the wall, surprising him. Young Master Crash says a Valheim family butler should find this easy, and Ariad agrees. Ariad's feet are shown as he prepares for action. He draws his sword, which glows with blue energy. Ariad is shown gripping the glowing sword. Ariad swings his sword, sending a blue energy slash towards the wall. Ariad's attack cleanly cuts through the wall, revealing a dark passage behind it. Ariad expresses surprise at the passage, and young Master Crash tells him well done. Ariad thinks as I thought as he looks at young Crash entering the passage. Ariad realizes Crash is completely different from yesterday, noticing the passage is lit with moonlight pearls. Young Crash touches a large chained lock on a door, thinking it is reminiscent of the family head and wondering what happened. Young Crash says it brings back memories. He recalls that back then everything had already burned down. He states that this time he made it before that happened, looking at the chained door with Ariad. Ariad asks if he should cut the chains too, but Crash says no, he cannot cut these chains. Crash says he will now test his own abilities and activates his skill Blackhood. Dark energy with sharp teeth-like forms emerges from Crash's body and attacks the chain door. The chains on the door shatter from the dark energy. Young Crash stands confidently as Ariad looks surprised by the broken chains. Ariad says his skills have not gotten rusty and asks young Master if he made a contract with a lord. Crash thinks that at this point he had not contracted yet. He tells Ariad he just contracted with some insignificant lord and says Ariad can report to father if he wants. Ariad looks shocked by Crash's words. Ariad thinks that just yesterday young Master had eyes that seem to have lost all meaning in life. He realizes Crash changed overnight through a contract with a lord and must have obtained a good skill. Ariad thinks that Crash shares the same bloodline as the greatest genius from Valheim, and even if not on the level of Lady Charlotte, young Master Crash as he is now. Young Master Crash looks at Ariad. Ariad pledges not to tell anyone until whatever Crash is trying to do is finished. Crash thinks this is Regression's plan. He realizes that because he acted differently from the past, changes are occurring with Ariad too. Crash acknowledges that the Ariad who betrayed him continues to live in his memories. He wonders if Arthur was troubled by this discrepancy, allowing him to steal the regression skill, and thinks that if he can cure Ariad's daughter's illness, Ariad should pledge his loyalty. Crash holds a chess piece, thinking he should increase his available pawns while he is here. He tells Ariad to do as he pleases, and he will think about how to treat his daughter later. Crash states that right now the secret library takes priority as he approaches the door. The door to the secret library opens with a bright light. Crash's eyes widen as he sees something inside. A powerful golden and red light emanates from within the library. Crash looks shocked and his hair stands on end. He thinks he has received countless curses from world erosion, but for his hair to stand on end, this much means there is no mistake. His grimoire is here. He and Ariad look into the library filled with books and glowing energy. Crash states he found it as he focuses on a specific section of books. This is the Blue Pine Hall's secret library, a place where ancestors called failures in Valheim recorded their techniques and memories without omission. It preserved grimoires for reaching a state of mastery not through skills, but through human achievement. Initially, it was a place anyone could access, but because of one single person, it became a secret library. That person was de Maurice Valheim, shown with a red moon behind him and wielding a sword. De Maurice Valheim is described as the worst failure in Valheim history. He was someone who became the strongest after being consumed by world erosion, and Crash reaches out his hand. Crash grins with a determined expression as his hand extends. Crash grabs the grimoire left behind by that worst failure, apologizing to his ancestors for being late. De Maurice Valheim appeared with a powerful red glow. He was considered the worst failure in Valheim history, yet also the strongest at his peak. The world's strongest warriors surrounded by magical energy challenged him. De Maurice wielded a powerful fiery energy in his hand during these confrontations. No one could stop him when he unleashed this power. This formidable ability was known as extreme blood immersion. As detailed in the grimoire, he possessed a secret technique to absorb world erosion into his body and wield its power. Holding the grimoire, Crash wondered if de Maurice had lost his mind, unable to control the erosion's rampage since half the book was burned. He recalled being hit by world erosion curses himself and weakening them with Blackhood. Crash believed he could endure by offsetting curses with other curses, applying the same principle as extreme blood immersion's rampage. He considered stealing a specific curse that controls such rampages and using it to offset the erosion. A visual of a snake and a bird entwining with opposing red and blue energies illustrated this concept. Crash was confident he could also become strong by employing this method. Forming purple energy in his hands, he envisioned becoming as powerful as Iris. Crash called for Ariad, who promptly responded to young Master Crash. Crash then ordered him not to let anyone enter the Blue Pine Hall from that day forward. Ariad walked away, confirming he would carry out the command as ordered. Ariad privately thought the young master had overlooked his wrongdoing, and he must repay that kindness by refusing Lord Varikson's proposal. He internally declared that young Master Crash was his true master. Varikson Valheim reacted in shock, asking if Ariad was refusing his proposal for that half-wit. Varikson continued to express anger, asserting they could not keep trash like Crash in the Valheim family. He blamed Sister Lilith's filthy blood for interfering and preventing him from securing his position in the direct line. Varikson's face showed intense anger at the situation. His mouth was clenched tightly in frustration. Varikson angrily called out, and a servant responded asking if he had been summoned. Varikson ordered the servant to go to the Blue Pine Hall where Crash was and discover why Butler Ariad had changed his mind. The servant replied that they could not enter, prompting Varikson to ask what he meant. The servant explained that Crash's butler Ariad had sealed the entrance to the Blue Pine Hall, preventing anyone, even the family head, from entering. Varikson was shocked, questioning if Ariad would truly not even let the family head enter. While Varikson called Crash an arrogant failure, Crash was seen meditating, enveloped in purple energy. He maintained a focused expression as he continued to gather the purple energy. Crash clenched his fist, wondering if he had finally reached the expert entry level of aura mastery. A diagram illustrated the realms in Aura Mastery: Aura User, Aura Expert, Aura Master, and Aura Emperor. The second stage, Aura Expert, marked the boundary line separating ordinary people from geniuses. Crash considered that he had only reached the realm of ordinary people, while Charlotte, 2 years older, was almost an Aura Master with overwhelming talent. He recalled that even Charlotte, that unprecedented monster, had been powerless. She was powerless before the world's destruction. Crash compared himself to Charlotte, noting he was still at expert entry and questioning if he could protect the world at this pace. He resolved that he would not know unless he tried. Crash reassured himself there was no need to lament, as before the regression he could not even use aura due to the curses. He thought that now, however, things were different. Crash believed that even if he could not compare directly to Charlotte, he could still grow stronger with the grimoire left behind by failures like them. Crash displayed a determined grin. He believed he could become much stronger and that this progress was enough for now. Ariad congratulated young Master Crash on entering the expert realm. Crash told him not to make a fuss over such an achievement. He then asked Ariad why he was waiting there. Ariad explained that Crash's fiancée, Lady Bianca Hardenhearts, had arrived at the Blue Pine Hall. Crash internally thought of Bianca as the White Demon. She was known as the mastermind who became a servant of the world's invaders, attempted to destroy this world, and defeated one of the 10 strongest under heaven. Crash noted that for now she was merely the youngest daughter of the Hardenhearts family. He understood their arrangement was a political marriage. The Hardenhearts family rulers of the North could dispose of a useless failure while gaining connections with the strongest martial house. Crash smiled, realizing both of them were being used by their respective families. He had business with Bianca anyway, so her arrival was convenient. Bianca Hardenhearts was indeed the youngest daughter of the Hardenhearts family rulers of the North. Before her birth, her mother was afflicted by a world erosion curse, resulting in Bianca being born with a curse. This curse, called Snow Doll, left her emotionless. Curses reaching the soul could not be lifted even by curse breakers, and with a contaminated body she could not contract with a god. Born in exchange for her mother's life, Bianca was treated coldly by her family. The Hardenhearts family regarded her as a cursed child. Crash wondered if Bianca harbored hatred towards him. He hoped there would be no problem stealing her Snow Doll curse, as it was needed to control extreme blood immersion's rampage. Crash asked Ariad if his current outfit was unsuitable, and Ariad offered to prepare a change of clothes immediately. Crash agreed to the change of clothes. He then instructed Ariad to show Bianca in and have her wait inside the hall. 5 months earlier, a younger Crash attacked Bianca. He told her to go home, claiming she only cared about Valheim's power. Crash then told her to stop pretending to be his fiancée. Bianca stood alone in the grand hall, reflecting on the encounter. She thought it was not as if she wanted to be there either. Past memory showed her family instructing her to rely on Valheim for the Hardenhearts family's survival and to use her pretty face to win over their son. Her family called her name, emphasizing their demands. They told her the fate of the Hardenhearts family rested on her shoulders, adding that she could discern right from wrong even without emotions. If her family had not forced her into a political marriage, even the pessimistic Crash would be saying no. Bianca sat alone, thinking she would be the one to refuse. In the present, Crash reacted with surprise to her presence. He apologized for serving hot tea, knowing Bianca disliked it, and promised to speak with the maid. Bianca looked at the tea and cake set before her. Crash then suggested they take a walk in the garden, noting the nice weather and flowers she would not see up north, to which Bianca agreed. Crash instructed Ariad to set out macadamia cookies in the garden, and Ariad confirmed the command. As they walked through the hall, Crash commented on Bianca's long trip, saying it was good to spend time together as engaged partners, prompting Bianca to reply with a question. Crash observed that Bianca did not sound like a fiancée, but more like she was talking to a commanding officer. He thought she was still stiff and her eyes sharp, just as when they first met, also noting she knew he liked macadamia cookies without him ever touching them. In the garden, Crash remarked on the peaceful atmosphere. Bianca looked at him directly and asked if he was truly Crash. Bianca and Crash exchanged a gaze. Crash made a sound as he touched his head, seemingly in thought. He then asked if he seemed different from before. Bianca looked at him with intense killing intent. Crash apologized, explaining he did not mean to offend her or imply anything negative. He thought his memories of this time were vague, unable to recall how he had acted around Bianca. Crash then remembered the expression on her face. It was the same expression she had worn when she died in front of the Arctic Sea Pavilion. Crash decided to play this smoothly, saying he could not blame Bianca for thinking that way, and revealed he had recently formed a contract with a god. Bianca concluded that was why his personality had changed and congratulated him. Crash said he had a proposal for her, and Bianca immediately asked what kind. She wondered if Crash, who had just made a divine contract, wanted to propose something to her. Crash thought Bianca was jumping to conclusions, asking if she believed he wanted to break their engagement. He thought she might not want to marry someone like him and would understand if she wanted to break it, but Bianca asked why a Valheim like him was so lacking in confidence. She declared she was his fiancée and that would not change. Crash was surprised to hear words he thought he would never hear from her. He said he understood and returned to the main point, explaining that with his newly awakened power. Crash extended his hand and stated he wanted Bianca's Snow Doll curse. Bianca asked if he was asking her to give up a curse that not even the best curse breakers could undo. Crash confirmed he planned to take the curse onto himself, promising anything she wanted if she gave it to him, noting a situation with no emotions worked to his advantage. Bianca said she knew the Valheim family looked down on Crash for being a failure and assumed he had a rift with his relatives. She suggested this might be what wore him down to the point he wanted to erase his emotions entirely. Crash looked surprised and asked if this was what they called a mental illness. Bianca recalled a psychic mage once told her that when people reach their mental limit, their mind breaks. She continued that when that happens, they might take their own life or suddenly act overly kind, as if their personalities had changed. Bianca said those moments were dangerous signals of impending collapse and told Crash to stay by their side if someone close to him ever ended up that way. Bianca then reached out and held Crash's hand. She told him he could overcome this, stating he did not need a curse, but needed to control his emotions. Crash looked confused and asked if there had been a misunderstanding. Bianca said she would visit often and might move nearby if she asked her father, while Crash wondered why this was happening and if she disliked him or never wanted the engagement. Bianca held his hand, saying she could not abandon someone standing on the edge, and Crash noted she was not denying disliking him. Crash thought Bianca was the type to charge straight ahead, but felt she was misunderstanding something significant. He decided if she would not give up the curse willingly, he would quietly test his skill. Crash activated his skill Black Hood. Purple energy swirled around his hands as he did so. An unlocked condition for generation was revealed. Crash looked surprised as the purple energy surrounded him. The first unlocked condition was to become Bianca's friend. Crash thought it was a troublesome double lock, as the curse was probably considered part of her body. He realized becoming friends with Bianca was harder than becoming her fiancée, since she had no emotions and was unlikely to show interest in anything. Crash thought that sending Bianca back to Hardened Hearts would only hasten the time she became the White Demon, so he decided to keep her close and look for a chance to unlock the curse. He decided the best move for now was to listen to what she had to say, thinking it would be killing two birds with one stone if he could stop her from becoming the White Demon and obtain the Snow Doll. Bianca said she would confirm with her father and return again soon. As Bianca left, Crash thought she would probably return in a month, and he should read as many grimoires as possible until then, as things were starting to get busy. The next day at Blue Pine Hall, Crash was seen working on the gate. A horse-drawn wagon and several crates were being moved nearby. Bianca then greeted Crash. She announced that starting today she would be living at Blue Pine Hall. Crash looked shocked and asked if she meant living there together with him. Crash slowly opened his eyes. He saw Bianca sleeping soundly beside him, a small amount of drool visible. Crash initially thought Bianca was sleeping in his bed again. He worried that someone seeing them like this would get the wrong idea. Bianca then woke up and greeted Crash, asking why he was there, making him realize that was his own line. Crash was actually sitting alone in a room surrounded by blue energy. He thought it had already been a few months since he started living with Bianca. A flashback showed Bianca greeting Crash and announcing she would be living at Blue Pine Hall starting today. Crash looked shocked by her announcement. He asked if she had already moved in, and Bianca replied her family quickly gave permission. Crash thought he meant if she was okay being apart from her family since she was only 12. He considered that because she had no emotions, her attachment to her family was weak, and she did not sense those kinds of feelings. Crash then thought this might be a good thing if he wanted to become her friend. Back in the present, Crash thought that what happened in summer was now in winter, and the year was almost over. He realized this meant the opening of Lahelny Academy was near. The academy trained talent capable of resisting world erosion and accepted students between 15 and 20 years old. Before the regression, it produced countless members of the Azure generation, many with cheat-level skills. Crash clenched his jaw thinking of those bastards. He knew their weaknesses better than anyone and could easily steal their skills, planning to steal every last one once he enrolled. Crash thought he would be 14 next year, so he had about a year to prepare and get stronger before then. Crash thought his talent was starting to hit its limit. He realized the grimoires could only take him to the beginner stage of Aura Expert, and he needed to surpass this wall. Crash decided he needed to steal Bianca's Snow Doll curse soon and learn to use extreme blood immersion. Crash asked Bianca if she had been waiting for him again today. Bianca replied yes, stating she could not leave him by himself and that it had been like this since summer. Crash thought she had followed him like a baby bird wherever he went, even to the bathroom. He wondered how long it would be until Bianca finally saw him as a friend. Crash thought about going out to have some fun when Ariad called him young master. Ariad announced that an invitation had arrived from the Star Sanctuary, making Crash question what that was. The Star Sanctuary was a formal gathering held once a year for young nobles of the Starin Kingdom, where almost everyone attended to socialize and build connections. Crash remembered the event and thanked Ariad for the reminder. He recalled his memories of this event were fuzzy because he had shut himself up in Blue Pine Hall before the regression. Crash looked intently at something. He thought that that guy would probably be there too, and he should go to keep his promise with Ariad, so he would have no reason to do something like last time. Crash told Ariad he would attend, and Bianca added that she would go too. Ariad understood, but warned Crash that the people attending the Star Sanctuary would probably criticize him. Crash thought people might criticize Bianca too and suggested it was better if she did not go. Bianca insisted she would go with him, stating that protecting one's partner was a fiancé's duty. Crash touched Bianca's face and said he did not mean as his fiancé. He just wanted her honest opinion. He noticed that sympathetic look on her face again. Bianca reflected that Crash had been unreasonably kind to her these past few months. She recalled moments of him asking what she wanted for breakfast, choosing books, and telling her to sleep more. Bianca felt warm and thought no one in the Hardened Hearts family ever treated her so gently. She thought Crash had been so kind that she could barely remember their terrible first meeting. Bianca realized she did not dislike Crash anymore and confirmed she would go with him. She clarified that she would go not as his fiancée, but as herself. Crash and Bianca arrived at Star Dragon Pavilion, which Crash recognized as the Star Sanctuary venue. Crash wondered how much money they had to book out the entire most famous place around. He remembered nobles were respected because they fought world erosion in place of common people. Crash then thought that these fools did not even train and just partied all night yet were called the future of Starin. He looked down at his shoes. Crash wondered how many decent people were even here in the Star Sanctuary. An announcer declared Lord Crash Valheim and Lady Bianca Hardenhearts had arrived. People whispered about Crash being the failed young master of the Valheim family and Bianca being the cursed daughter of the Northern Duke. Crash stood with Bianca, surrounded by what he considered fake nobles. A man with a wide grin heard the name Valheim and thought someone interesting had showed up. Crash thought there were real nobles here too. He identified Balak Hogma, the tiger youth who would later join the Azure generation. Crash also identified Kasagi Elfin Emilia. He also identified Wood Archer Annex Greiser and noted they were the three who would later be called Starin's Triad. Crash thought those three were taking an interest in him. He deduced it must be because of Charlotte, who had bragged about how everyone kept trying to duel her when she wore a dress like this. Crash recalled Charlotte calling the Star Sanctuary a trash sanctuary. She had also said it was boring and she was never going again. Crash thought that judging by the mood here, Charlotte must have already made a scene. Bianca tugged on Crash's sleeve. She told Crash not to mind what people were saying, and he replied he was just remembering Charlotte. Crash asked Bianca if she was being insulted too, and if it bothered her, but she said she did not mind at all. He then asked when he was showing up. Crash hoped he was not skipping the event. An announcer declared Lord Darling Danforleon had arrived. Crash thought speak of the devil. Lord Darling Danforleon, the flashy alchemist and strangest of all eccentrics, greeted everyone. Crash was covered head to toe in curses, prompting a narrator to wonder what had happened to him. Lord Darling Danforleon then touched Crash's face, considering combining the curses to make something work. He then asked Crash if he wanted to be his test subject for a cure. Lord Darling Danforleon noticed Crash lacked the strength to even answer. Deciding not to wait for a reply, he simply began. Crash's eye widened as he tried to utter a stop. Lord Darling Danforleon then let out a loud scream. The narrator stated his name was the Alchemy Lord Darling Danforleon. The narration continued that he would one day be called the Alchemy King, marking their first encounter with him. Back in the present, Lord Darling Danforleon greeted everyone, his flashy arrival drawing reactions from the guests. Crash thought that knowing the show off he would not miss an event where his peers gathered, then called out to Bianca. He told Bianca to wait for him there. Bianca, holding a tray of figs, quietly responded okay. Lord Darling Danforleon watched Crash walk away, wondering about the boy. He felt he had seen him somewhere before and identified him as Crash Valheim. Reacting to the Valheim name, he thought Crash really looked like Charlotte. He then asked Crash if he was Charlotte's little brother. Crash asked if he needed something from him or was just captivated by his good looks. Lord Darling Danforleon smiled, saying he heard Crash had been poking around about the world invaders. Crash smiled back, asking if that topic caught his interest. Lord Darling Danforleon called Crash quite the cocky kid. He added that since Crash caught his attention, he should be prepared for the consequences, as a sign nearby requested no interruptions. Lord Darling Danforleon then asked Crash how old he was. He grabbed two swords from a weapon rack. Crash replied he was 13 and asked if age mattered, to which Lord Darling Danforleon expressed surprise at his age given his attitude. Crash stated he had the mind of an academy graduate adult and asked to get to the point as he did not have much time. Lord Darling Danforleon smiled while holding a sword, telling Crash to go on and tell him. Crash held up a sword and told him to take it. Crash then swung a sword at Lord Darling Danforleon. Lord Darling Danforleon blocked the attack, yelling at Crash and asking what he was doing. He explained that since he finally met Charlotte's brother, he wanted to test Crash's skills first. Crash thought Lord Darling Danforleon was a pain. Lord Darling Danforleon asked if Crash was saying he had something to talk about and that he would listen, then asked if he meant that. Crash lunged forward again with his sword. Lord Darling Danforleon blocked the attack, expressing surprise that Crash was a talentless failure without skills. Crash said he may look like that, but he trains every day, then thought it felt wrong to use a secret technique against an alchemist, and decided to shake things up. Crash stated he could help Lord Darling Danforleon with his research on curse neutralization, shocking him. Lord Darling Danforleon asked what Crash knew about alchemy that made him think he could assist. Crash dodged an incoming attack. Lord Darling Danforleon grunted in exertion. Crash told Lord Darling Danforleon he was working on neutralizing world erosion curses that even curse breakers could not undo. He continued that this involved using other curses to cancel them out. Lord Darling Danforleon stood still and listened as Crash said he had to prove that theory to become a first-rank alchemist. Crash then declared he would help Lord Darling Danforleon with that research. Crash showed his skill that steals curses. Lord Darling Danforleon was shocked, exclaiming that Crash was not skill-less and had an aura. He thought that if what Crash said was true, it would be amazing. Lord Darling Damferlian smiled, saying, "This was perfect to prove both curse supply and neutralization." At once then, asked Crash's price for this collaboration. Crash clarified he needed Lord Darling Damferlian to create a potion that could suppress curses he would obtain in the future not to become his boyfriend. Crash stated that brewing potions was Lord Darling Damferlian's specialty and added that stealing skills alone was not enough. A narration explained that even the Azure generation with cheat-level power could not stop the apocalypse. Crash declared that a failure like him had no choice but to try every possible method, whether it was a potion or anything else. Lord Darling Damferlian observed Crash, noting he heard Crash lost all motivation compared to Charlotte, but it seemed that was not true anymore. A narration described Charlotte as an overwhelming genius and Crash as a stubborn misfit, calling them both brother and sister. Lord Darling Damferlian blushed and looked flustered. He then asked Crash if he could ask one thing, and Crash replied, "What?" Lord Darling Damferlian asked if Crash was enrolling in the newly established Lahelny Academy. Crash confirmed he was explaining that the academy was full of people with skills to steal from. Lord Darling Damferlian excitedly offered to make potions, or whatever Crash needed, adding that if it involved curses it was even better, while Crash thought he had not changed a bit. Crash then stated he had another favor to ask. Crash asked Lord Darling Damferlian if he knew about discoloration disease, which turns skin bluish-black before killing you. Crash then asked him to make a cure for it, surprising Lord Darling Damferlian. Lord Darling Damferlian asked if Crash knew what incurable meant, stating even he could not pull that off, but Crash said he did, and that was something for later. Crash looked determined. Crash made a fist as Lord Darling Damferlian looked on. Crash told him he could do it. Lord Darling Damferlian smiled, saying Crash was hitting his pride. They fist bumped and Crash told him to send the cure to the Blue Pine Hall when it was ready. Lord Darling Damferlian said he would bring it himself, then added that something had been bothering him. Crash asked if Lord Darling Damferlian liked his sister, and he replied that he adored Charlotte. Crash then asked why he kept saying there was an empty seat beside him, and asking about boyfriends, to which Lord Darling Damferlian asked what he was talking about. Lord Darling Damferlian explained that Crash was still too young to understand, then revealed he liked men too and swung both ways. Crash looked shocked by the revelation. Crash ran away yelling he did not, as Lord Darling Damferlian called him his future boyfriend and told him to come back. Crash walked away muttering that Lord Darling Damferlian was always like that. He looked out at the bustling crowd. Crash's expression then turned serious. A man grabbed Bianca's arm. Bianca looked up at Crash and called his name. Crash kicked the man away from Bianca. The man Crash kicked flew through the air. The man groaned on the ground, asking if Crash was trying to drag his fiancée off by force. Crash stood menacingly, asking what the man thought he was doing. Crash confronted the man, asking what he thought he was doing. The man reacted in shock, repeating Crash's words, "By force, you say." Crash then stated the man was about to lay hands on a 12-year-old girl. He called him a sick idiot and asked if he was into that kind of stuff, which the man denied. The man claimed he was just following Lady Claudia's orders, prompting Crash to question if they were the second princess orders. Crash looked surprised upon hearing the name Claudia from the kingdom of Starin. The man confirmed Lady Claudia, the second princess, had told him to bring Lady Bianca to her, adding that Bianca resisted, so he tried to take her by force. He claimed it was a royal command and could not be helped as Bianca stood nearby. Bianca, the youngest daughter of the Hardenhearts family, was looked down on among nobles due to her curse. The princess, who usually played around with her followers, had specifically summoned Bianca. Crash thought something about the situation did not add up. He continued to think there had to be another connection at play. Crash pondered the existence of a different connection altogether. His expression then changed to a smirk as he realized something. Crash thought of wood archer Annex, who used to obsessively chase Charlotte. He recalled Annex could not let go of his twisted hate and admiration for Charlotte after being humiliated at the Star Sanctuary, which drove him mad. Crash realized Annex knew he would never defeat Charlotte by his own power, so he had set his sights on Crash instead. Crash let out a sigh, understanding the full scope of the situation. He thought Annex was now dragging Bianca into this scheme too. The man then said he would go and looked confused. Crash clarified he was going to see Annex, not the princess, and the man asked why. Crash criticized the man for serving the princess, but not knowing who truly ordered him to do this, saying his instincts were dull. Crash took Bianca's hand and told her to go with him, and she agreed. Crash and Bianca walked together down a hallway. Crash then asked Bianca why she had refused to go with the man earlier. He thought she would have left before him. Crash added that given the situation her refusal was wise, and Bianca responded yes. He asked why she did not follow the princess orders, and Bianca replied it was because Crash had told her to wait. Crash looked surprised by her answer. He patted her head, telling her well done as they continued to walk. A man with white hair and ears like a tiger suddenly jumped up happily. The man with tiger-like features exclaimed "Oh" upon seeing them. He greeted Crash, saying he came, and Crash stated he came to see Annex. The man replied Annex said if Crash showed up to let him through. This man was Balak Hogma, known as the Tiger Youth. Balak was a talented dual sword fighter, but no one ever knew what he was thinking, and Crash would rather not get involved with him. Crash thought it was good Annex sent Balak ahead, but Balak then said something unexpected. Balak said he had been curious about Crash too and wanted to fight, making Crash think this was how it always ends up despite fighting being banned at the Star Sanctuary. Balak argued he fought Charlotte anyway, so fighting Crash should be fine, and Crash remembered Balak lasted longer against Charlotte than Annex did. Crash thought Balak was strong even among experts, and his combat intuition was sharp, making his next attack unpredictable. Crash thought he would rather avoid fighting Balak before meeting Annex, but with that look in his eyes. Crash observed Balak's eye and concluded he would not back down quietly. Crash said fine and clenched his fist, purple aura emanating from it. Balak lunged at Crash. Crash dodged Balak's attack. Crash stomped his foot on the ground, preparing his next move. Crash delivered a powerful blow to Balak. Crash followed up with another fierce punch. Crash landed a direct hit on Balak. Balak collapsed on the ground with Crash standing over him. Crash looked down at the fallen Balak. Balak laughed and told Crash he did not hold back. Crash replied Balak was the one who challenged him first. Balak enthusiastically asked for another round, and if he could grab his weapon this time, making Crash look surprised and ask weapon. Crash asked Balak if he could even stand after that hit. Balak smiled with blood dripping from his nose and mouth. Balak looked confused when Crash asked if he could stand. Balak then collapsed again with Crash standing above him. Bianca asked Crash what he just did, and Crash replied he used a secret Valheim technique. The technique was short strike, created by a forgotten Valheim dropout, delivering maximum power over the shortest distance, and able to pierce armor and strike internal organs directly if conditions were right. Short Strike was the only secret technique Crash managed to save before the Blue Pine Hall burned down prior to regression. Crash thought that thanks to Short Strike, he survived countless near-death battles, and it was his most reliable move. Crash stated Balak would not be getting up for a while and suggested they head inside. Two new figures stood outside a building under a full moon. Crash and Bianca looked toward the two figures, and Bianca questioned if it was Balak. Annex said he was surprised Crash managed to defeat Balak. Crash asked Annex if it was his plan to have Balak stand there so Crash could target him. Crash stated that since Annex was trying to use the second princess to lure him out, he came to see Annex in person. Annex asked how Crash figured it out, saying he was not quite like the rumors said and wondered if those rumors were false. Crash replied if it was the rumor about him being a failure, that one was true. Annex stated that after today, if he beat Crash, then those rumors were going to change. Annex declared he would be taking Crash's skill for himself. Crash declared that if the rumor of his failure was true, then so be it, but Annex countered that if he won today, the rumor would change. Annex then smiled confidently at him. Crash looked back at Annex, uttering his name. A flashback began showing Crash and Annex together during their academy days and as part of the Azure generation. Crash narrated that he had come to know Annex well from their time side by side, recalling Annex once saying Crash only stayed near him because he was useful. The flashback continued, depicting Crash hanging precariously from a cliff edge with monsters attacking below. Annex looked shocked, stating that everyone was down. Crash's hand reached up from the ledge, asking Annex for help. Annex thought he would lose his standing in the Azure generation if it was discovered he had led them into a trap. He mused that no one would ever know the truth if he were the sole survivor, causing Crash to react with shock. Annex declared he would not let that happen, citing constant infighting. He considered that Crash would surely be expelled if the truth came out. Annex decided to blame everything on Crash, believing that since everyone already hated him, the issue would fade quickly. Annex then smiled, thanking Crash for being his friend until the end. Crash looked enraged, questioning the word friend. He yelled at Annex for never considering him a friend, accusing him of only using him to get close to Charlotte, as Annex could not stop thinking about her wedding day. Crash declared that was precisely why he could not stand him. He told Annex he had no skill but was quick to twist words. Crash added that once Charlotte was married, their relationship would be over anyway, as Annex was shown walking away. Annex looked back at Crash, saying perhaps it was better that way. Annex thought about Charlotte's ceremony and his own waning strength. Crash's hand then slipped from the cliff edge as his strength faded. Crash questioned if this was truly how it would end. Arthur reached down, pulling Crash up and asking if he was all right. Crash narrated that Arthur had saved him, and they ended up on the same team, which began his next misfortune. Crash continued explaining Arthur exposed Annex, leading to his expulsion from the Azure generation, and though Annex's desperate attempt to marry the princess once made his blood boil, he wondered about him now. Annex then told Crash he talked and looked just like Charlotte. Crash looked angry, stating some things never change. Crash warned Annex not to dare say his sister's name, so casually asking if he truly thought he was like her. Crash attacked Annex's dark energy swirling around him. He lunged forward, telling Annex they might look alike, but a fight would reveal the difference in their temperament. Annex smiled confidently back at him. Crash attacked Annex with a dark whip-like arm. He used his dark arm to swing around a pillar. Crash then kicked Annex in the face. Annex blocked the kick with his arm. Crash spun in the air, utilizing his dark arm. He attacked Annex with multiple dark tendrils. Crash landed in front of the second princess as his dark tendrils surrounded Annex. Annex looked annoyed, stating Crash was still as troublesome as ever. Standing surrounded by dark tendrils, Annex told Crash that was all he had and he might as well use a weapon. Narration explained the Geyser family's secret wood heaven-style technique, which strengthens and controls plant life through aura adding, that combined with his recovery skill he could multiply plants and extend the technique's limits. Crash held a wooden staff asking if Annex had said to use a weapon. Crash smiled, declaring he would fight Annex using his plants. Annex responded, "Oh yeah." Annex then told Crash to try blocking his next strike with one of the branches. Crash dodged multiple dark branches attacking him. Annex looked surprised, questioning if Crash had dodged. Crash stated Charlotte could have done that, but Annex was just a failure, asking what was next like mind's eye. Crash thought Annex was his natural enemy. He told Annex he had seen his abilities enough times before regression to know his every move. Annex asked Crash if he was still thinking about Charlotte. He then asked Crash if he was sure he wanted to push his luck like this. Annex attacked Crash with a burst of green energy. Crash leaped away from the attack. Annex told Crash to watch his mouth when speaking to him, then summoned a giant wooden titan. Annex smiled, shouting, "Wooden Titan." Mary Diana rushed in, telling Lord Annex to stop. She thought about what would happen if that hit Crash directly. Mary Diana believed Annex would kill Crash. Crash stood with his eyes closed as leaves fell around him. Narration revealed that in the secret library of Blue Pine Hall, there was one of the thinnest grimoires. It was written by an ancestor who swung his sword daily until he turned 80, an ordinary man who practiced endlessly. His final grimoire contained short notes about swinging a sword, describing a state of unity between self and blade. Crash narrated that his curses had repeatedly pushed him to that edge, which was why he understood that ancestor's secret. Crash held his staff, which glowed with blue energy, stating the sword became him. The wooden titan was split in half by a powerful beam of light as Crash declared he became the sword. Crash was shown holding his glowing staff. Narration stated the sword was a simple yet profound truth as the wooden titan was utterly destroyed. Mary Diana and the second princess looked shocked. Annex looked utterly shocked, his eyes wide. Annex shouted, "Hey!" Crash pointed his staff at Annex, telling him not to ever get cocky with him again, and asked if he got it. Annex lay utterly shocked on the ground after Crash's powerful strike. Crash looked down, appearing exhausted with the wooden titan standing behind him. He realized he had intended to hold back to steal Annex's skill, but had gone all out, now barely able to move. Crash struggled, unable to move his legs or even speak. Bianca Hardenhearts rushed to him, offering to help. Crash gasped in pain as she hugged him. Arthur then appeared, stating Crash would die at this rate and to leave him to Arthur. Arthur then carried Crash away on his back. People in the hall wondered about their connection and how such a failure beat Annex, asking if he was the useless youngest son of Valheim. Arthur realized the rumor was already spreading. He thought Crash was either bold or reckless, predicting he would become famous upon waking. Arthur continued to think. He felt bothered by Annex's earlier expression, sensing Annex was planning something. Arthur told Crash not to die before helping with his research as he carried him outside. A week later, Crash was seen training with a staff, hitting a wooden dummy. A week had passed since returning from the Star Sanctuary, and he had finally recovered from the sword strike. Crash thought that if he had kept using the skill nonstop to corner Annex, he would have ended up worse than Annex. He remembered being unconscious the entire ride home and wished he had stayed awake to do prep work for skill theft. He considered his two ideas for skill theft. He explained the usual way was unlocking Blackhood's lock, while the second involved making the target doubt their own skill, which he planned for Annex. He explained that it works best by completely crushing an opponent in a fight, making execution far easier. He thought that when his strike felled Annex, giant Annex's doubt must have started rippling in his mind. He continued to think that losing to the failure he always looked down on would make Annex question his skill's value. He knew it would take time, but eventually Annex's skill recovery would be his. Crash resolved to devote every day to training during the year before the academy to surpass all geniuses. A servant then informed Lord Crash that Lord Varrickson had arrived. Crash thought his big brother's patience had finally run out. The servant mentioned Crash had refused Varrickson's messages twice, and Crash told him to let Varrickson in. Crash thanked Bianca for bringing him water. Bianca asked what was wrong, noting he smelled sweaty, and he asked if he did. He wondered if it was because using aura expels bodily waste or if he had gotten used to the stench of erosion. He debated freshening up before meeting Varrickson, but decided against it, thinking he would be moving again anyway. Bianca then told him to keep some distance. Crash looked surprised, asking if she was giving orders to her fiancé now. He thought she had grown bold. Crash chased after Bianca, stating she could not get away from him. He thought she was stubborn sometimes, but that was part of her strength. Crash thought the people he knew before regression would probably be staring at him coldly right now. A woman with long blonde hair and red eyes then called out Crash's name. She asked if he was getting soft already and if he thought he could stop the world's destruction acting like this. Lilith then thought about Arthur. She continued to think about Arthur as a vigilant hero. Crash wondered what Arthur was doing now, guessing he was flirting with his fiancée. Varrickson Valheim, the third son of the Valheim family, then appeared, remarking how fitting. Varrickson told Crash that even heroes need breaks sometimes. He observed that Crash now looked straight at him, unlike before when he avoided eye contact out of fear. Varrickson asked if the rumor about Crash beating Annex was true. Crash asked Varrickson if he was busy feigning surprise. He found time to visit Blue Pine Hall. Varrickson mentioned that Lahelny Academy would accept students based on exam results rather than status. Crash smiled and told Varrickson he better start preparing too. Varrickson thought Crash was mocking him. He thought about the Valheim house's power and how even the strongest empire feared them. He continued to think that he was pure Valheim blood. He asked if Crash was telling him to study for the entrance exam, telling him not to get arrogant over beating Annex, and calling it a funny joke. Crash replied that he imagined so, implying it was understandable for a commoner to worry about getting in. Varrickson looked annoyed, wondering what Crash's tone meant. Varrickson stated he came to deliver an order, and Crash asked what kind of order. Varrickson said they were going to the Gerlac Mountains, and Crash reacted in shock, stating missions like that were not mandatory until they turned 15. Varrickson told Crash not to worry as he would be his guardian, asking if his little brother who beat Annex would be scared of something like this. Crash thought Varrickson was testing him to gauge his strength and agreed to go. He thought he was more used to fighting erosion than living peacefully, and would find a way out even if this was Varrickson's trap. Bianca asked Crash where he was going, and he told her he would be away for a bit to deal with the erosion problem, instructing her not to follow him. Bianca replied that she would not follow him. Varrickson looked surprised, thinking that sending a 13-year-old to handle an erosion event was absurd. Crash stepped in front of Bianca, telling Varrickson she was his fiancée and asking if he was not taking his stepbrother's words seriously. Crash gave Varrickson a sharp look. Varrickson clenched his jaw in anger. Varrickson scoffed and walked away. Crash patted Bianca's head, telling her well done, and she replied that she had not done anything. Crash told Bianca that if she was unaware of what she had done, that was fine, but she should not faint again. Crash walked away, telling Bianca he would be back. World erosion. It's basically when another world decides to crash your party and ruin the neighborhood. You get weird bugs from another dimension showing up uninvited, and sometimes the whole environment just decides to cosplay as a nightmare swamp. If it keeps spreading, you're basically living in a new terrible world. So the Gerlac Mountains just got a swamp update. It's a rank 3 erosion. The cleanup crew is waiting for the boss to be neutralized. Rank 3 an intermediate squad should handle that easily. Plus Varrickson is an advanced expert, so he should wipe the floor with the core creature. Dramatic silence. Crash. Yes. I brought you here so a low-ranked expert like you could get some field experience. Experience, he says. Does he know who he is talking to? The only reason I'm playing along with this guy is to test a new way to keep my inner demon from throwing a tantrum. Slicing through the bugs like butter. Damn it, they're endless. The knights are panicking. No heads, but they've got teeth. Keep your aura up or you'll swell up like a balloon. Lord Crash, have you done this before? I am 13, it is a miracle I am even standing here. Varrickson is losing his mind. How is this failure so common? His first erosion zone? When I was 15, my pride was shredded to pieces. Yeah, we get it, you were a loser. He's giving the knights advice. This is nothing like when I started. Do not compare me to you. Varrickson is visibly triggered. Crash readies his blade. What if, hypothetically, Crash grows up to be like Charlotte and leaves me in the dust? Would not I be the real failure of Valheim? Why do not you just become me? Brother, we are close to the core. The ground is stained with the corruption. Lucky us, this one looks easier than the last. That's why we need to stay even more alert. The knights are looking absolutely terrified. Hey, do not lose your nerve over a little danger, and do not get rattled just because a kid is here. It is just rank 3, finish it so we can go home. Finally, time to focus on the real mission. I can see the erosion energy clearly now thanks to my blood immersion training. Now all I have to do is absorb it. Easier said than done. I'm actually pretty nervous. Coughs up blood. Step. Crash, you okay? Just tripped. Sure buddy, coughing up blood again. Great. Erosion energy is basically a toxic sludge, so this is expected. I just have to endure it. This is what I trained for. Step 1. Mix my aura with the erosion energy just like the book said. The energy begins to swirl. My aura is a river and I am letting the toxic sludge flow right into it. It's creating a brand new terrifying color. So this is what a total rampage feels like. Anyone else would have lost their marbles by now. Time to use the secret technique from the hidden library. A blind ancestor found the library but could not read the books, so he sealed it and left one note behind to save future generations from being clueless. The name of this secret art is Hypersensory Perception through Aura. My sixth sense. I cannot extend it far, but it's enough to see everything around me. The spot I'm standing in is not fully consumed by the rampage anymore. The storm is finally fading. I beat it with my sixth sense. It's only a temporary fix though. As long as I keep absorbing this stuff, a rampage is always on the table, which means I definitely still need Bianca's snow doll curse to keep me in check. So Crash is out here playing with fire, literally coughing up blood just to keep his inner demon from throwing a total tantrum. He's pushing his limits, feeling that sweet, terrifying rush of reaching a whole new level of power. But wait, the vibe just shifted. Something is definitely lurking in the shadows of this nightmare swamp. And there it is, the main event. A rank 3 erosion core, and it's looking way more nightmare fuel than we bargained for. Look at that face, or well, the many faces. It's like a bad dream that refuses to wake up. And those eyes, it's locked onto them, and let's just say it isn't looking for a hug. Things just went from 0 to 100 real quick. The creature is making its move, and it's not holding back. The core is finally exposed, radiating that nasty corrupt energy that makes your skin crawl. It lets out a roar that could probably shatter eardrums. Talk about a bad attitude. Even Varrickson looks like he's reconsidering his life choices right about now. Crash, meanwhile, is just trying to survive the day. Welcome to the party, folks. Meet the Thousand-Faced Demon, a rank 3 boss that's about to turn this mission into a total disaster. Things just went from 0 to 100 in this nightmare swamp. Varrickson is flexing his Igni's skill, looking like a human torch. The knights are fanboying over his power, but Crash is just unimpressed. Crash is thinking, yeah, that is the same move that burned me before. Varrickson is busy being a jerk, acting like he's the main character. Crash is just standing there, probably wondering why he's stuck with this guy. Flashback to before the regression. Varrickson was a total train wreck. Crash is wondering if his brother has actually changed at all. Time to get serious. Crash is tapping into his own power. Suddenly, the Thousand-Faced Demon shows up to ruin everyone's day. A curse that erases faces. Talk about a bad hair day. The knights are getting absolutely bodied by the demon's arms. Panic mode activated. The knights are ready to bail. Varrickson tries to look cool and charges in. He's swinging that sword like his life depends on it. The demon is not having it. It's screaming like a banshee. Varrickson is trying to play hero, shouting about creating an opening. The knights are watching, probably thinking, is he actually doing it? They're cheering him on, completely oblivious to the real danger. Varrickson is feeling himself, thinking he's winning. Crash is watching from the sidelines, probably thinking this guy is toast. Wait, where did Varrickson go? Did he just get deleted? Crash realizes the demon is the real problem here. The demon's face is literally melting into nightmare fuel. It's crying blood. Yeah, that's definitely not a good sign. Look at all those faces. It's like a gallery of bad decisions. That stare is piercing right through the screen. Crash knows it's officially bad, really bad time. The demon is lashing out and it's not holding back. Varrickson is feeling the pressure. Literally, it's crushing him. He's realizing they need to kill this thing fast. Everyone attack. The classic last-ditch effort. Their attacks are bouncing off like they're throwing pebbles. Varrickson is screaming orders while his world falls apart. He's looking around, confused why his ultimate move did nothing. He's losing his mind, yelling at his knights for being cowards. And then the horror. Everyone's faces just vanished. Varrickson is horrified. He did not even touch the thing. He's clutching his face, realizing he's next. The demon looms over him like a giant, hungry shadow. Crash is in the rain, feeling the toll of his own power. He's literally dying out here, but he's still standing. The demon is closing in, ready to finish the job. Crash is questioning his life choices. Why is this happening? A ghost of his sister appears, and she is not being nice. She's roasting him, calling him a coward who ran away. She tells him he's going to die of failure. Crash is fighting back, refusing to accept that fate. He takes a massive hit, but he's still holding on. He's dragging himself through the mud, barely conscious. He finds Varrickson, who is in even worse shape. Crash is actually happy to see his brother alive. They're both survivors in this hellscape. Crash explains how he saved his brother's sorry hide. Varrickson is too weak to even use his aura. Crash offers his help with a little smirk. Varrickson is still being a stubborn jerk even when dying. He's shaking, realizing how close he came to the end. They're stuck in the erosion field and there's no way out. The field is closing in, no escape route in sight, so it's kill or be killed by the demon. Varrickson is desperate. He's at his limit. Crash decides it's time to pull out the big guns. He talks about the secret art Charlotte taught him, flashback to the good old days with his sister. Varrickson is skeptical, but he's out of options. They're both on the ground, but Crash is ready to try. He reaches out, offering a hand to his brother. He asks for trust, the one thing they've never had. Varrickson finally gives in. He's trusting the genius. Crash warns him, if this fails, they're both dead. Crash smiles, ready to face the music. Do not worry, I will not fail. The Thousand-Faced Demon is here, and it's looking like a total nightmare. Crash asks his brother Varrickson if he's ready to use his signature Igni skill. It's go time, and the tension is thicker than the swamp mud. Crash starts channeling his own aura, and it's looking dangerously powerful. The focus is insane. He's locked in and ready to break the limits. A heavy, ominous thud echoes through the field. Varrickson is staring, completely shook by the sheer purity of Crash's aura. He's never seen anything like it. It's practically glowing with raw potential. Varrickson is struggling to process how his failure of a brother is suddenly a master. Crash keeps the pressure on, demanding Varrickson use his fire. Varrickson ignites his flames, looking like he's trying way too hard. Crash hits him with a little sass, asking if he's actually going to do something useful. Crash realizes he might not even need to carry this guy after all. Varrickson is having a crisis. Crash's fire is objectively better than his. He realizes that sword could actually end this boss fight right now. Varrickson is still reeling from the trauma of losing his entire squad. If Crash wins, what does that make Varrickson? A total loser. The ego is bruised, but the reality is setting in. The flames are roaring, turning the battlefield into a furnace. The power clash is visual perfection, a literal sword of fire. Varrickson is looking absolutely terrified of his own brother's strength. Crash is going full main character mode, dominating the scene. The environment is reacting to the sheer intensity of the aura. Crash drops the mic. It's done. Varrickson is stunned. He can't believe it was that easy. Crash is exhausted, but he's still holding the line. He tells Varrickson to just die because honestly he's had enough of the attitude. The clash is intense, sparks flying everywhere. Varrickson is panicking because his Ignis is not working. Oops. Crash gives him a look that says I told you so. Varrickson's secret unlock conditions are actually just him being humbled. It's a simple process. Hand over the power and admit you're not the best. The final step, the total collapse of his massive ego. Crash drives the point home, literally. Crash reflects on how he actually wanted to be friends, but Varrickson made that impossible. A flashback shows just how toxic their relationship has always been. Crash really wanted to be accepted as a brother, but hope is a dangerous thing. He realizes that the brotherly bond was never on the table. It's payback time for all the times Varrickson burned him. Crash reminds him exactly how it felt to be the one on the ground. A swift kick to the ego and the face. Varrickson is down and the power dynamic has shifted permanently. Crash looks at the scenery thinking it's a lovely day for a beatdown. Back at the estate, everyone is freaking out about the mission. They're calling it a rank 5 disaster. Talk about an overreaction. They think Varrickson died a hero's death, if only they knew. The servants are mourning, but one guy is just confused. The butler is trying to keep the heroic sacrifice narrative alive. Crash walks in looking like the ultimate undercover boss. He's playing the part perfectly. Nobody suspects a thing. The mission was a success and he's reaping the rewards. He's fully adapted to the extreme blood power-up. He's got the black flame now. Talk about an upgrade. It's his new secret weapon and he's feeling pretty smug about it. Now he's got to deal with the higher-ups at the main family. He's getting called in for a meeting. Time to lie through his teeth. The real enemy is the world invader and it's lurking in the shadows. Crash is keeping his cool even when the stakes are world-ending. He meets Saphira, who is definitely not just a random investigator. She spots the black star on him. Busted. She's acting like they're old pals, which is super suspicious. She wants to make a deal because everyone wants a piece of the action. Crash offers to erase her immortality. Casual Tuesday, right? She's intrigued, but she's also fishing for info. She realizes she picked the wrong target to mess with. So this mysterious woman confronts our guy, basically calling him out for being a regressor. She's not buying his act for a second, claiming only a regressor would have the guts to propose such a deal. She mocks him, saying he is trapped in his own timeline, yet still foolishly trying to kill her. But he's not backing down. He reveals his terrifying toothy aura, proving he's not bluffing. He channels his dark skill, ready to unleash something truly dangerous. He makes a bold claim. He's got the power to strip away her very immortality. The demon is stunned, realizing this kid might actually be the one to end her. She spent centuries grooming monsters just to find someone strong enough to finally kill her. She's desperate for the end, so she asks him, what's his condition? He's blunt. He needs her to make him stronger since his skill only works if he's the superior fighter. She's amused, so she agrees. She'll take him on as her apprentice. For the chance to finally die, she'd sell her soul in a heartbeat. She accepts the deal, her eyes burning with a dark, ancient intensity. She vows to forge him into the strongest warrior alive. Even just seeing a projection of her power is enough to make him tremble. She's a legend, a powerhouse who once rivaled the greatest, and now she's his mentor. He's determined to save the world from total destruction, even if it means using an invader's power. He knows the rules. A unique skill belongs to one person and his regression path is sealed. He realizes he can't just jump back in time anymore. He's stuck in this life. If this world falls, he's going down with it. No second chances. He reaches out, grateful to have his companion Krim by his side. Krim is shocked, wondering if he's actually starting to care. He gives a dark, knowing smile. The game has changed. He asserts his dominance, forcing the dynamic to shift. He's the one in charge now. Finally, he's walking away, ready to leave that suffocating place behind. He's been gone for years and he's not looking back. He barely remembers his parents, but he's summoned to the manor anyway. He's suspicious. Why is his mother suddenly interested in him now? It gets worse. The family head wants a face-to-face meeting after returning from the Forbidden Domain. He's terrified. His father is a monster and now he's being hunted. His father has reached a semi-divine state. He's practically a god among men. He's ordered to stay at the estate, but he's not about to sit around and wait. He's got places to be and people to see. He's not wasting time on their games. He declares he's leaving, planning to return only when it suits him. He's out and he's not planning on coming back anytime soon. He's finally free, breathing in the fresh air of liberty, but his companion Krim is still being a total pain about his manners. He calls Krim out for being too flashy with that bright red color. Krim shifts into a black crow, blending into the shadows perfectly. They bicker like an old married couple, but there's a weird respect there. He asks about Krim's real body, but Krim just calls him an unpleasant brat. He knows the truth. Arthur is the real regressor and he's just a copycat. He drops a bombshell. There's a white chick at the hall he needs to check on. Krim is confused. A chick? What is he talking about? It's a girl in a chicken suit and she's waiting for him. He's back just like he promised and he's ready to get to work. He checks in with his butler Ariad to see if the world burned down while he was gone. A letter arrives from Master Darling. Things are getting weird. It's a cure for the discoloration disease and the sender is clearly obsessed. He's told to treat this darling with respect. He's going to be a major benefactor. Then he hears the news. Lady Bianca has been worried sick about him. She was so scared she packed her bags to come find him herself. He realizes the lock on her curse is breaking. This is a disaster. The first condition is met. He's officially her friend. The seal is shattering and the power is surging. Bianca's first lock is finally broken. Crash is back and he's brought a new companion, a mysterious crow named Krim. He introduces the bird to Bianca, who's still rocking that adorable chicken suit. Bianca immediately takes a liking to the bird, cuddling it like a plush toy. But Crash has bigger things on his mind. He needs to figure out the next step. The goal? Unlock the second condition, becoming Bianca's most precious person. He's her fiancé, so he figures lover is the most logical path to get there. Krim, however, is not a fan of the PDA and tries to fly away. Bianca's eyes glow with a strange ancient power as the seal begins to crack. Crash is struggling with the awkwardness of flirting with a kid, even if he's an adult inside. He takes a deep breath, steeling himself for the training ahead. Krim teases him about Bianca's obvious crush, but Crash brushes it off. He turns his attention to the real mission. It is time to get stronger. The training is brutal and his mentor is pushing him to his absolute limits. He heads to the training grounds ready to prove his worth. He's exhausted and failing, but he refuses to give up. His mentor mocks him, calling him a failure despite his regression knowledge. Crash admits he's only made it this far because of his past life's intel. He knows that without real talent he'll be surpassed in 5 years, but his mentor reminds him that talent does not matter when you have a unique skill. He can steal any talent he wants. He just needs to be the superior fighter. The mentor vows to raise him up, taking him from the bottom to the top. And the final piece of the puzzle, he needs to steal her immortality. It's a dangerous deal, but it's the only way to reach true godhood. The plan is set and the path forward is clear. A few days later, he's back at the estate looking for a way to level up. He runs into an old acquaintance and things get chaotic fast. The guy calls him honey and Crash is absolutely not having it. He demands to know if the guy got the supplies he needed. The guy pulls out a rare glowing potion. He actually pulled it off. Crash is impressed even if he will not admit it out loud. The guy gives him a knowing look, clearly proud of his genius. He tries to get touchy-feely again and Crash snaps. He drops a bombshell. Annex has started training again. Crash is shocked. Annex was a total quitter after his last loss. Apparently the Star Sanctuary incident lit a fire under him. Crash is annoyed. He really does not need Annex causing more trouble. He realizes he needs a way to get stronger and fast. Krim suggests using a special tonic to toughen up his fragile body. He tells Crash to get the recipe from that alchemy genius. It's an incredibly rare elixir that boosts aura, but the ingredients are impossible to find. Crash is worried, but he decides to just ask his fiancée for help. He asks for another favor and the guy is clearly getting annoyed. He needs that potion and he's not taking no for an answer. He tells him not to worry about the cost. He'll handle it. He's going to manage it himself, relying on his memories from the past. He starts reciting the ingredients and the guy is stunned. He's speechless. How does Crash know all this? The guy starts frantically taking notes, realizing the value of this info. He asks where Crash learned this and Crash credits his family's secret formulas. The guy can make it, but the ingredients are still a nightmare to get. He needs a fungus from a dangerous mountain and a rare herb from the Empire. He'll get the fungus from his fiancée's family territory. As for the herb, it's guarded by a dragon. Talk about a suicide mission. The Empire is crawling with guards. Getting caught means death. Crash is desperate, but the guy offers a shortcut, a martial arts tournament for kids under 15. The prize is the herb. Crash is hesitant. Participating would be a massive political headache. The guy has a plan. He pulls out a mysterious potion. Crash is skeptical. Is this supposed to make him invisible? He drinks it and suddenly his body starts to warp and change. He's transformed. He looks like a completely different person. The guy is thrilled, joking about Crash joining his harem. Krim is just staring in absolute silence, completely done with this nonsense. Crash realizes what's happening and is ready to throw hands. The guy realizes he messed up and starts begging for mercy. After intense training, Crash is pushing his limits, mastering sword techniques that read enemy movements. His companion, the Crow Krim, watches closely as they prepare to leave for their next dangerous mission. With his skills sharpened, Crash is ready to face the world, leaving the training grounds behind. He moves with newfound speed and precision, his aura crackling with potential. Every strike is calculated, a testament to the brutal sessions he endured. His eyes lock onto his target, his focus absolute and unwavering. Steel clashes against steel, the sound echoing through the hall as he parries every blow. He's a blur of motion, outmaneuvering his opponent with ease. The training session concludes, leaving him exhausted but undeniably stronger. His mentor confirms his progress, noting how he's mastered the art of predicting attacks. He's reached a level of intuition that borders on true precognition. The final piece of the puzzle is a special elixir to bridge the gap between his physical body and his mind. With their preparations complete, they decide it's finally time to depart. Disguised and ready, Crash sets out looking like a completely different person. He double-checks that he has the crucial, mysterious potion needed for his mission. A few days earlier, he'd secured this disguise, a clever trick to bypass magical detection. He was not happy about the side effects, though. The potion had turned him into a girl. He's stuck in this form for a full day, much to his annoyance. Dealing with his benefactor's gifts is proving to be a real headache. Upon his arrival, his loyal butler Ariad is waiting with a team to assist him. They've arranged a secret route through the lawless zone to cross the border safely. Crash is pleased with the arrangements. He trusts Ariad to keep the home front secure. Ariad vows to protect the hall even from the family head himself. The butler's resolve is ironclad. He's ready to do whatever it takes. Crash reflects on the recent success. Curing the discoloration disease was a major win. The grateful father of the girl he saved is now indebted to him. Crash demands total loyalty in exchange for his help, forcing the man to serve him. The man is overwhelmed with emotion, realizing the price of his daughter's life. Crash feels a weight lift. He's finally moving past old betrayals. Now he turns his attention to his fiancée, Bianca. He thanks her for the favor, knowing he needs her help to reach his goals. Bianca encourages him to rest, but Crash is driven. He needs the white flame fungus. He promises to return to Blue Pine Hall as soon as he succeeds. With a final warm smile, he prepares to head for the Empire. He accepts a snack from her, grateful for her support. They exchange farewells, both aware of the dangers ahead. The journey to the Empire begins with the crow leading the way. As they travel, Crash keeps his erosion power stable thanks to his sharpened senses. The trip has been quiet, but he's eager for a chance to test his strength. Suddenly, their carriage is ambushed by a group of ruthless bandits. The bandits are arrogant, clearly enjoying the chaos they've caused. The situation looks grim and the travelers are terrified. But then a dark, swift strike cuts the bandits down in an instant. Crash emerges, his hand wreathed in a menacing purple aura. The remaining bandits are stunned. Who is this kid? They rush him, desperate to finish the fight quickly. They mock him for his lack of weapons, unaware of the power he wields. Crash summons a spectral blade, ready to show them their mistake. He moves with lethal grace, cutting through their ranks like paper. His eyes glow with cold, calculated intensity. The lead bandit realizes he's facing someone far beyond his league. He tries one last, desperate, powerful strike with his axe. Crash parries the blow effortlessly, the impact shaking the forest. He counters with a flurry of strikes, overwhelming his opponent. The bandit is shocked. How is he reading every single move? Desperate, the bandit prepares a final, devastating technique. Crash remains calm, watching the bandit's movements with ease. He sees the opening he's been waiting for. With a swift motion, he executes the Phantom Battle Axe technique. The bandit recognizes the move, his eyes widening in terror. It's the secret art of the Butcher Dog. The bandit knows he's finished. Crash confronts the bandit, recognizing him as one of Butcher Dog Berkman's men. Berkman is a notorious serial killer and a servant to a world invader known for his ties to the White Demon. He was supposed to infiltrate Starin to carry out a massacre, but Charlotte stopped him. Crash wonders why these dangerous subordinates are already active in the lawless zone. Charlotte's victory made her a legend, but the timeline for the invasion seems to be accelerating. Crash is deeply concerned about why the enemy is moving so early. He realizes they need to secure the Golden Dragon Grass and vanish immediately. A bad feeling gnaws at him. The situation is spiraling out of control. With his crow companion, they push forward to reach the Empire's capital, Ceylon. They arrive in Ceylon, the heart of the Empire, where the high-stakes tournament awaits. The registration for the martial arts tournament is bustling with activity. The crowd is massive, filled with diverse and dangerous competitors. Amidst the chaos, we meet Cicely, Ephania, the brilliant 14-year-old fourth princess of the Empire. She's causing a scene, acting like a spoiled brat to hide her true genius. Her attendants are constantly stressed by her erratic and unbecoming behavior. They worry that if the Emperor saw her like this, he'd be devastated. Cicely desperately tries to maintain her cover as a wild, uncontrollable troublemaker. In reality, she's a prodigy who mastered advanced mathematics by age 7. She knows that if her true intellect were revealed, she'd be a target for the throne. To survive the deadly imperial succession, she plays the fool. She'd rather be seen as a nuisance than a candidate for death. She acts out constantly to ensure no one takes her seriously. Her plan worked. People stopped viewing her as a threat. Even those who once praised her brilliance now dismiss her as a lost cause. Her loyal attendant Sira knows it's all an act, but even she's worried about how far Cicely is taking it. Cicely spots something, or someone, that catches her sharp eye. She notices a mysterious, gloomy boy with a crow on his shoulder. The crow is unsettling and the boy's aura is undeniably suspicious. She wonders if he's a spy from their sworn enemy, the Valheim family. Cicely trusts her instincts. She's not letting this one slide. She leaps into action determined to investigate the stranger. She closes the distance, ready to expose his true identity. A sudden stumble nearly ruins her approach. She crashes right into the mysterious boy. She tries to play it cool, greeting the wild child. The boy remains cold and detached, telling her to watch where she's going. Cicely is intrigued. His calm demeanor is a dead giveaway. She realizes he knows exactly who she is and he's clearly annoyed. Crash registered as Crad Owen just wants to find an inn and rest. Every single inn in the city is fully booked. He's exhausted and running out of options for the night. It looks like he's going to be sleeping on the streets. Suddenly, an old woman approaches him with an offer. She invites him to stay at her place, sensing he needs a room. Crash finds the whole situation incredibly shady. He knows better than to follow strangers, but he's desperate for a bed. His crow companion is equally skeptical of the situation. They arrive at the woman's house hoping for a safe place to crash. The woman shows him to his room and he's relieved to finally have a roof. He thinks he's caught a lucky break, but then he hears a familiar voice. It's the fourth Princess Cicely and she's already found him. Crash is mortified. His cover is practically blown. He realizes he walks straight into a trap. He tries to ignore her and retreat into his room. He grabs the doorknob, desperate to end the conversation. Cicely is persistent, wondering why he's so interested in ignoring her. She teases him, suggesting he might be into guys since he's rejecting her. Crash snaps, telling her she's not his type and that there are prettier people out there. She laughs it off, clearly enjoying the mystery surrounding him. Her constant pestering is starting to really get under his skin. He demands that she stop following him. She just smiles, insisting they eat together so she can learn his secrets. Crash shuts her down, refusing to deal with the trouble. Cicely is unfazed, still pushing for answers. She drops the act for a second, questioning why he's still playing games. She calls him out by name. Mr. Crad from Starren. Crash is stunned. She figured out his origin from just that brief encounter. Crash tries to keep his cool, desperate to hide his Valheim roots from the prying fourth princess. Cicely is not backing down, firing back at the kid who dared to call her one. Her attendant is skeptical, questioning if this mysterious boy is really from Starren. Cicely notes the subtle linguistic differences in his speech. He's definitely not a local. She prides herself on her sharp eye for detail. Nothing gets past her. She's a genius playing the fool, and she knows Crash recognizes her. When asked if they should capture him, Cicely refuses. The game is just getting fun. She pivots to business, asking for updates on her sister Sigrun. Sigrun has changed drastically in a year, becoming someone unrecognizable. Cicely senses the danger. The sister she knew is gone. Crash realizes the political situation is far worse than he imagined. He foresees a bloody future for the palace. Meanwhile, the tournament qualifiers are brutal and Crash is dominating the competition. The power he displays is enough to shake the very ground. The crowd is stunned as the top 4 victors are announced. Everyone is whispering about the mysterious boy and his unsettling crow. Crash is exhausted, mentally drained from Cicely's constant shadowing. At least his performance in the ring remains untarnished by the drama. The qualifiers are a bloodbath, and only the strong survive. Suddenly, a bandaged stranger approaches, calling him out on his rumors. The guy identifies him as one of the Night Crows, a notorious assassin group. The Night Crows are a feared underworld faction, a catalyst for the Empire's eventual collapse. Crash denies the affiliation, keeping his guard up. The stranger tries to play it cool, suggesting they be friends since they are both from the underworld. Crash plays along, but his instincts are screaming that something is wrong. He senses a deeper manipulation at play. He decides to take control, using his crow to handle the situation. A quick brainwash spell forces the truth out of the stranger. Crash demands to know what happened to the real Night Crows. The stranger reveals they were nearly wiped out. They've been forced into the tournament by a new ruthless master. Crash is shocked. Who could possibly control them? It's the second prince of the Aphania Empire. Crash is stunned. The second prince is pulling the strings. The Night Crows were supposed to be the royal family's secret tool for manipulation. A new master controlling them makes no sense. Someone is leaking rumors to use the prince as a pawn. If the second prince is taken out, the first prince's faction collapses. The mastermind behind this chaos is clear. It's Sigrun Ephania playing a dangerous game. She's successfully inherited Arthur's memories. With the future in her hands, she's targeting the throne. She's already disposed of the previous holder of the White Dragon Pearl. She's clearing the path to make Arthur a puppet emperor. Her rise to power will trigger a massive surge in world erosion. Crash realizes he has to stop her and steal her skill to save the world. He calls on his crow Krim for help. He refuses to rely solely on future knowledge, choosing to act now. As for the bandaged pawn, Crash decides he served his purpose. He turns the man into his own servant. He orders the man back to his post, ready to plan his next move. It's time to use disguises to infiltrate the main tournament. They're going to hunt down the real Night Crows. Meanwhile, the real assassins are already onto him. They're furious that someone dared to impersonate them, and they're ready for blood. The martial tournament is heating up, and our mysterious protagonist Crad is absolutely crushing the competition. With his trusty crow by his side, he's officially moved into the top 32. The crowd is losing their minds, but Crad is not here for the fame. He's playing a dangerous game, letting everyone believe he's a notorious Night Crow assassin. He knows the real ones are watching, and he's ready to lure them out. Even the fourth Princess Cicely is keeping a close eye on him, suspicious of his true motives. After the qualifiers, Cicely corners him, clearly digging for the truth. She's not fooled by his act, and she knows he's far more than just an ordinary kid. Crad plays it cool, but he knows she's onto something. She senses he's lived a complicated life, and she's not letting him go easily. He warns her to watch her back, but she's persistent. Cicely is left frustrated, realizing she's missed something big. She knows he's hiding secrets, and she's determined to uncover them. Back at her quarters, she questions her own spies, feeling the pressure. She vows to double-check everything. She cannot afford a mistake. Meanwhile, Crad is already moving to his next phase. He heads out ready to confront the real Night Crows. Suddenly, he's intercepted in a dark corridor. A stranger confronts him, calling him out for his impersonation. Crad recognizes the vibe. This is exactly what he was waiting for. He's not surprised they showed up so soon. The assassin lunges with dual blades ready for blood. Crad dodges the strike with ease. He's barely breaking a sweat analyzing his opponent. The assassin is desperate, but Crad is in total control. "This is the end for you, brat," the assassin screams. Crad counters with a swift, powerful kick. The impact is devastating. He shuts the assassin down instantly. Crad reveals his true power, dark magic that ignores their usual tricks. He knows the assassin's identity, Evlesk. Crad makes a bold offer, a deal to save her. He promises to retrieve her stolen heart. In exchange, he demands the truth about Sigrun's dark plans. Evlesk is terrified, realizing who she's dealing with. She's a world invader imprisoned for 1,000 years. Crad realizes her fate is even more cursed than his own. He recalls how she was used as a tool, a secret weapon. Everything finally clicks into place. The Night Crows, the Necromancer, the assassinations. It's all connected to Evlesk. He realizes she was captured and discarded by the royals. He finds her in a pathetic state, trapped in her own misery. She's terrified, but Crad is firm. He's the only one who can help. He forces her to face the reality of her situation. He shows her his skill, proving he's serious. He reaches for the heart that was stolen from her. He uses his Black Hood skill to break her chains. It's not an easy task, but he's determined. He asks for her permission to take custody of her heart. She's hesitant but desperate for freedom. "I give you permission," she finally cries out. Crad tells her to focus. She needs to want this. He reminds her of the life she's been forced to live. He offers her a life of leisure free from the royal family's control. He warns her of the alternative, eternal soul-crushing labor. She breaks down, terrified of going back to that life. Crad realizes the true terrifying potential of her power. She begs him for help, trusting him completely. He offers her a final choice. Give him her heart and be free. She's ready to give up everything just to escape. Crad pushes her to make the ultimate exchange. He places a hand on her, sealing the deal. She finally lets go, begging him to take her heart. With a smirk, Crad sets her free. The game has only just begun. Crad is not playing around. He's forced a deal, demanding the truth in exchange for returning the heart he seized. He's keeping her on a tight leash, making it clear that her freedom depends entirely on his terms. The interrogation begins. What exactly is Sigrun planning? The target is revealed. The fourth princess's master swordswoman, Sira Vetera. The plan was twisted. They intended to use Sira's corpse to assassinate Princess Cicely. But the tables have turned, and Crad's raw power is proving far beyond what they anticipated. Crad does not hesitate to deliver a brutal reality check. He mocks the assassin's blind loyalty to an empire that treats them as disposable tools. The strike is swift and decisive. The mad blade Sira Vetera is left reeling, caught in the crossfire of Crad's dominance. The orders from Lady Sigrun are exposed. Use the dead to kill the living. It's a cold, calculated plot to eliminate the fourth princess. A year has passed since Crad returned to the past, and he's finally closing in on the truth. The obsession with Lord Arthur runs deep, fueling the dark ambitions of those in power. Flashback to the moments just before the world's end. A quiet, deceptive Saturday. The calm before the storm of regression. A promise made in the shadows, waiting for a meeting that would never happen. The excitement of that day is now just a bitter memory. Lord Arthur never showed up, leaving them waiting in the dark. The frustration is palpable. They are nowhere to be found. A full year spent waiting, clinging to a hope that's slowly turning to dust. She's determined to regain her strength, desperate to be the strongest spear when he finally returns. The mission is everything. She has to push harder no matter the cost. An unexpected encounter interrupts her focus. They know about the crow boy in the tournament, the one who's been causing all the trouble. They recognize the tactic, using a crow to draw eyes away from the real threat. A chilling reminder. Crad holds the power of her heart, and she better not step out of line. She's terrified, forced to play along while hiding her true fear. She leaves, but the suspicion lingers. The realization hits. Crad is far more than just a cute corpse. Back at the tournament, the final showdown is set. It's Crad versus the commoner Pyre, the last person anyone expected in the finals. Pyre looks like an average peace-loving kid, but that's just a mask. In reality, he's a powerhouse of the Azure generation, and the crowd is stunned to see him draw his sword. The tension is thick. Does Crad even care about the killing game? A chance for a normal life. If they both survive the finals, they can walk away from this. But Crad is a man of secrets, and he is not changing his path for anyone. Pyre pleads with him to give up the assassin life, but it falls on deaf ears. Despite the rivalry, there is a strange underlying respect between them. The referee steps in with a final ominous piece of advice. A warning: if you cling to hope, you'll never survive the true despair coming your way. The battle erupts, rejection stance. The clash is instantaneous. 10 shadow steps, the speed is blinding, Pyre is shocked. Crad is reading his every move. How is he predicting the feint? It's as if Crad knows his sword style better than he knows it himself. Every strike is blocked, every opening closed. Crad looks at him like he's a ghost, because in a way he is. He knows everything, the snowy upbringing, the technique, the training. He's watched it all from the sidelines. The crow takes flight, signaling the end of the game. Pyre's attacks are not landing, and he's realizing the gap in their power. Crad is moving later, yet reaching first, the mark of a true master. He's pushing Pyre to awaken his true potential. Short strike, the final blow is dealt. The victor is Crad, and the crowd is in disbelief. A quiet goodbye. Will they ever cross paths again? A moment of gratitude. Crad saved him from the curse. Pyre vows to get stronger to protect the world that Crad is fighting for. Crad is stunned. He's never heard a thank you like that before. A final nod. See you at the academy. The fight is over and the stage is set for the next phase. The destination is clear. Lahelny. The second Prince Chiffon Ephania is watching, delighted by the Night Crow's performance. He thinks he's got the perfect pawn to seize the throne. He gloats, reminding his servant who really holds the leash. The servant bows, but the air is thick with tension. Suddenly, the boots of the elite arrive. The situation is changing. The second prince is caught off guard. Who dares to interrupt him? The Black Dragon Knights, the Order of Executioners, are here. The charge is blunt: arrest for the attempted assassination of the fourth princess. The prince is outraged. Why would he kill a fool like Cicely? The evidence is damning. An order signed by him found at the hideout. He screams for his guards to execute the traitors, framing him. The confusion is absolute. Who actually died? The shocker. Cicely and Sira are both alive and well. The realization dawns: something is very, very wrong. The prince is convinced he was framed, but the chaos is only just beginning. The assassination attempt on Mary Diana has been thwarted, and Lady Cicely's premonition proved to be spot on. Sira, can we really trust these Imperial spies we hired? I'll double-check just to be safe. It turns out every single spy we planted in the palace had betrayed us, and now we need to figure out who is really targeting Lady Cicely. I've got a bad feeling. I need to get to her quickly. Sira Vetera, I'll share my immortal power with you temporarily in exchange for your life force, so pretend to be dead. Crad's crow, it's talking directly in my head. The connection is overwhelming. Something is happening to her eyes. What did you do to me? And pretend to be dead. Is someone targeting me? The moment those questions crossed my mind, Mary Diana had already pierced through my body. If Crad's crow hadn't lent me its immortal power back, then Lady Cicely and I wouldn't be standing here now. Arrest the vice captain of the Black Dragon Knights on suspicion of espionage. What? A spy? You came here with the Black Dragon Knights thinking we were dead, did not you? Sira, do it. The strike is absolute. Why is this happening? I ordered Evelesk to kill Sira, then use her corpse to assassinate Cicely. Yet the two of them are walking under the sun as if nothing happened and the spies I planted were taken out. That clever fourth princess saw through everything and ruined the plan. That's why Lady Sigrun tried to eliminate her. If she's left alive, she'll become an even greater obstacle. I have to kill her here and now. The dark magic seals the heart. Please kill the fourth princess immediately. What do I do? Crad hasn't actually stolen my heart yet, but I cannot disobey the command carved into my heart. Evelesk, what are you doing? Monster, protect the prince and princess. Crad, help me. My heart, it's gone. Failed to assassinate the fourth princess. Failed to bring down the second prince and even lost Evelesk's heart. Everything, I failed completely. I messed up. Then I'll just kill the fourth princess directly. Now's my only chance while everyone's focused on Evelesk. The ground shatters under the pressure of the strike. The impact is devastating. The world's fastest speed. Excel, dies Cicely Ephania. The blade is stopped dead in its tracks. Crad intercepts the blow with ease. You're Crad. How could a mere corpse stop my Excel, known as the Divine Spear? As always, that simple-minded thinking of yours never changes. You know me. I don't quite get it, but this is my chance. What are you doing? Capture that person immediately. Attempted royal assassin. Mary Diana, let go of me, my spear, you're under arrest. I messed up. Even if the plan gets exposed, I shouldn't have interfered. Help me, Lady Sigrun, Lord Arthur. Crad, are you okay? Number can't really say that. Even with Black Flame I could barely defend. I'm still far from master level, because you stood up to the Divine Spear. I have the Imperial Defense Necklace. You're well prepared. As long as you're safe, that's what matters. The realization of his kindness hits her. Find out if there are any other conspirators. Let's slip away in this chaos. Eveless, get ready. Cicely, watch your back, especially around your siblings. Wait a minute, at least let me treat your wounds first. Don't worry, I'm used to pain. What kind of stupid thing is that to say? Well then, take care. He left without even giving me a chance to thank him. Crad said he's going to the academy. I'll chase after him directly and repay this debt. Having teleportation abilities is certainly convenient. If only there weren't restrictions, it would be incredibly useful. I can only teleport living people short distances. What a shame. Herb, take it, the golden dragon grass you requested. You have no idea how much trouble I went through to get this. Now that everything's done, there, your promised heart, can I really have it? I thought for sure you'd keep exploiting me. You seem different from other world invaders. World invader me? When you stopped Mary's attack earlier, you used erosion power, didn't you? The black flame was just burning the power I absorbed through extreme blood immersion. But to other invaders, you look like one of them. That's why Evlesk believed my story. She thought I was the same kind as her. I might get mistaken for an invader in the future. Hey, sorry to interrupt your thoughts, but I just got word from my servant. Seems there's a problem with your fiancé. Crad receives urgent news. His fiancé is in serious trouble. A servant reports that the notorious butcher dog has infiltrated the Gerlac Mountains. Crad realizes the danger is linked to his past encounter with that monster. The realization hits him hard. He knows exactly what this means. He immediately orders Evlesk to rush to the Hardenheart's territory. Confusion ensues as others learn Crad, an invader, has a fiancé. They are shocked that anyone would dare engage their daughter to such a dangerous family. Crad clarifies he is not an invader. It's just a misunderstanding. He reveals that Crad is merely an alias. The truth comes out. His real name is Crash Valheim. He is the youngest son of the prestigious Valheim house. A heart is presented, the price of their deal. The weight of the name Valheim settles in. The realization that Crad was a Valheim all along is a massive shock. Meanwhile, in the snowy Gerlac Mountains, the situation is dire. Jenica Hardenhearts is devastated, blaming herself for Bianca's disappearance. She recounts how they ended up in the mountains. Bianca had gone alone to gather rare white sunflame fungus. A flashback shows the search party trying to bring her home. Jenica reflects on her strained relationship with her sister. She defends Crash, refusing to call him a failure. Tensions rise as Jenica questions why she even joined the search. She just wants to give Bianca the fungus and end this. The dark history of their mother's death haunts them. Jenica vows to find her sister and bring her back. The silence in the snow is heavy with regret. She realizes this expedition was a terrible mistake. Suddenly, the butcher dog appears, hunting them down. Terror strikes as they realize they are being stalked. The predator closes in, relishing the hunt. He greets the young ladies with a sinister tone. He grabs them, mocking their desperate attempt to flee. He considers this his lucky day to find such perfect hostages. The girls scramble, terrified and injured. The butcher dog toys with them, enjoying their fear. They try to hide, but he's always one step ahead. Bianca remembers her promise to Crash. She refuses to die here, desperate for a way out. She spots a potential escape route, the dangerous crevasse zone. It's a gamble, but it might be their only chance to slow him down. The butcher dog laughs, impressed by their smart thinking. They reach the edge of the cliff, exhausted and cornered. Bianca points to a narrow jump. It's do or die. They know that staying means certain death. The killer approaches, goading them to move. They make their move, leaping across the gap. The butcher dog lunges, reaching for them. A scream echoes as they plummet. He realizes there was a foothold they used to survive the fall. He decides to join the fun and jumps after them. Bianca tries to reassure a terrified Jenica. Jenica is stunned by the sudden turn of events. The butcher dog catches them in midair. Bianca screams as they fall into the abyss. Her final thoughts are of her sister. Back in the present, Jenica is haunted by that memory. The search party believes they survived the fall due to the snow. Jenica is consumed by the what-ifs. She regrets not being honest from the very start. She clings to the hope that Bianca is still alive. Crash listens, finally understanding the tragedy. They argue, the pain of the past week still fresh. Jenica fears the worst despite the search party's reports. She knows Bianca could not have survived the harsh mountains alone. Her heart aches as she whispers, Crash, I want to see you. Bianca is stranded in the freezing Gerlac Mountains, barely holding on and desperately missing Crash. She clings to the hope of seeing him again, even as her strength fades. Waking up from a daze, she realizes she's at her absolute limit. She's been surviving on nothing but nuts and the warmth of the rare white sunflame fungus. Her body is failing, but her legs finally feel steady enough to move. After the terrifying fall with the butcher dog, she wandered until she found a patch of the life-saving fungus. The warmth of the fungus is the only thing keeping her alive in this frozen hell. She gathers the glowing plants, using their natural heat to stave off the lethal cold. Using knowledge from survival books, she's managed to treat her wounds and find meager rations. But the relentless cold and hunger are pushing her past the point of no return. She fears the avalanche has delayed any hope of a rescue team reaching her. Even in her darkest hour, she remembers her promise to deliver the goods to Crash. Suddenly, the nightmare returns. The butcher dog has tracked her down. He corners her, mocking her desperate attempt to survive. Bianca stands her ground despite her exhaustion. She tries to scavenge what she can, but the predator is closing in. A lethal weapon swings through the air, shattering the silence. The impact is brutal, but she survives the initial strike. She hides, heart pounding, trying to stay out of his reach. The environment itself seems to turn against her as the killer hunts. She's forced to scramble through the snow, barely avoiding his grasp. The butcher dog toys with her, relishing the fear in his prey. He sneers, realizing that being the Valheim family's fiancée makes her a high-value target. He grabs her by the throat, gloating that she could have been a simple hostage. He eyes her precious hair ornament, seeing only a way to make a quick profit. Bianca's mind drifts back to the peaceful days at the Blue Pine Hall. She remembers the quiet moments spent reading while Crash trained. Even without deep emotions, those memories are the only thing keeping her sane. She cherishes that warmth, whispering Crash's name as her vision blurs. Just as all hope seems lost, a mysterious figure appears in the snow. A sudden, powerful strike intercepts the butcher dog, saving Bianca. The killer is stunned. Who dared to interfere? It's Crash. He's arrived just in time to catch her. He tells her she did well, promising to handle the rest. Bianca is overwhelmed with relief as she realizes she's safe. Crash commands his familiar Krim to take care of her while he prepares for battle. He knows the risks of breaking the invader's code, but he does not care. He's fully committed to the fight, no matter the consequences. With Evlesk's help, he's ready to face the monster head-on. He knows the butcher dog is dangerous. He barely escaped him last time. The tension is palpable as they stare each other down. Crash is determined to win regardless of the gap in their strength. He unleashes his power, his aura flaring with intense energy. He demands the return of what was stolen, his eyes cold and focused. The butcher dog laughs, mocking his demand. Crash makes it clear that ornament belongs to his fiancée. They clash, the sound of steel ringing out across the mountains. Crash realizes his opponent is an upper-class expert. He's outmatched in speed. The butcher dog taunts him, boasting about the massive ransom he'll collect. Crash manages to block a devastating blow, surprising his enemy. He moves with incredible agility, trying to find an opening. The battle intensifies, with both fighters trading heavy blows. The butcher dog lands a hit, cackling with sadistic glee. Crash is sent flying, but he quickly regains his footing. The killer prepares to finish it, declaring the fun is over. Suddenly, Crash vanishes, leaving the butcher dog confused. The killer sniffs the air, desperate to track him down. Crash reappears in a blur of motion, launching a surprise attack. He strikes with a precise, powerful technique. The butcher dog screams in pain, caught off guard. Crash realizes his current blade is not enough to overpower him. He activates his ultimate skill, Ignis, wreathed in flames. The killer is terrified, finally realizing he's facing a monster of his own. Crash traps him with an illusion, binding his movements. He taunts the killer, asking if he can handle the heat. The final showdown begins, with Crash closing the distance. As the rescue team approaches, Crash vows to finish the butcher dog for good. Crash is disoriented, his senses scrambled by the butcher dog's deadly sonic aura. The killer's secret art is tearing through his perception, but Crash is not backing down. He's been in this exact spot before, and he knows exactly how to survive it. Tapping into his sixth sense, he channels his aura to stabilize his mind. The butcher dog mocks him, but Crash is just playing the long game. He knows he's outmatched, so he baits the killer into overconfidence. The butcher dog strikes, desperate to finish him before the rescue team arrives. It's a trap. Crash is ready for the assault. Steel clashes against steel in the freezing mountain air. The butcher dog is stunned. Crash's movements are anything but normal. Crash is struggling to maintain his illusion bind technique. He lands a heavy blow, keeping the pressure high. The killer realizes this is not just some ordinary prey. Enraged, the butcher dog vows to tear the girl apart. Crash remains cold and focused, ignoring the taunts. He pushes the illusion, watching the killer's frustration grow. The butcher dog unleashes his phantom battle axe in a flurry of red energy. Crash braces himself, wondering if he can survive the onslaught. He's pushed to his absolute limit, barely holding on. His familiars Krim and the others watch in terror as their master bleeds. They debate jumping in, but fear the consequences of interfering. The butcher dog is a monster who would hunt them to the ends of the earth. They stay hidden, watching the brutal exchange unfold. They are torn. Should they help or stay out of it? The girl, feeling the debt of being saved, wants to fight, but the others hold her back. This is Crash's battle alone. Crash is fighting for his life, his body failing him. They have to trust the man who reclaimed his heart. Even if he dies, they'll bring his body back home. Crash gasps for air, his strength rapidly fading. He's been reading every move, but the strain is too much. He drops his aura, forced to rely purely on instinct. He realizes too late, it was just a phantom. The butcher dog lunges for the kill. Crash's eyes widen as the strike closes in. He knows he's no genius. He's always had to fight dirty to survive. He decides to stop hiding his true fangs. His eyes flare with a terrifying hidden power. He taps into the world erosion power stored deep within his blood. Ignis's flames roar to life, shattering his body's limits. He has a 3-second window to end this. He channels everything into one final desperate strike. The butcher dog is terrified by the sudden surge of power. He can't even track Crash's movements anymore. Crash strikes aiming for the kill. He misses the neck, but the hit is devastating. The sonic interference blurred his vision at the last second. The butcher dog's hand is shattered, but he's still standing. The erosion power fades, leaving Crash vulnerable. The killer's claws are inches from his throat. Crash gathers the last of his strength for a counter. He refuses to die in this frozen hell. With a final burst of energy, he strikes. The familiars watch breathless. Crash has achieved perfect unity between himself and his blade. A single precise movement cuts through the chaos. It's over in a heartbeat. The butcher dog falls. Crash collapses, wondering if he actually won. One final clean blade strike seals the deal. The familiars rush to his side, calling his name. Crash is alive, but barely. The strong win without a scratch, but the weak pay a heavy price. He's battered, broken, and exhausted. The battle is finally over. The Raven asks if he's satisfied. Far from it, but he's done enough. It's time to go home. They head back to Blue Pine Hall, the nightmare finally behind them. Bianca confronts Crash, questioning his cold, emotionless existence. Crash remains stoic, his internal struggle hidden behind a mask of indifference. She challenges him. Is it harder to feel everything or to feel nothing at all? Bianca pushes him, asking if he'd even care if she died. Crash deflects, claiming their bond was just a family arrangement. The tragic history of the Hardenhearts family is revealed. A bloody, insane collapse. The engagement was severed, leaving them as strangers in a broken world. This meeting was supposed to be their final goodbye, but Crash's dark power flares, a warning of the danger he carries. He reveals his true nature, a vessel for ancient consuming curses. The dark energy surges, pulsing through his very veins. He's swallowed so many curses that he's become immune to their poison. In a shocking twist, he uses his power to purge the snow doll curse from Bianca. For the first time, she is free, but the world remains a cruel place. With her freedom comes the return of the emotions she had long suppressed. The weight of her humanity returns. She has become a monster of feeling. 3 years later, the war in Hardenhearts rages on. The conflict stems from the Empire's second prince defecting. The Poison King was sent to silence the truth, sparking the tragedy. Now the White Demon seeks revenge against the Poison King. The battlefield is a chaotic hellscape of explosions and death. Crash arrives, a lone warrior caught in the crossfire. The enemy recognizes him. He's a legend of the Azure generation. Crash is fading, his body pushed to the absolute limit by the curses. He realizes he can't survive this alone. He needs Bianca. He desperately calls out to her, begging for her presence. A flash of light signals his arrival at the sanctuary. He unleashes a final desperate burst of power to clear the path. The enemies fall, but the cost to Crash is immense. He finds her, the silence between them heavy with years of longing. Bianca is wounded, a blade piercing her very soul. Crash rushes to her, his heart shattering at the sight. He realizes the Poison King's daughter is responsible for this agony. He remembers her question, which is harder, having emotions or not. He recalls her sister's final words. She never truly hated him. It was a realization of love hidden beneath years of resentment. The memories flood back, a torrent of pain and clarity. He sees her trapped in the cold, waiting for a warmth that never came. Back then, without emotions, he could not understand the tragedy. But now, he finally understands the depth of her suffering. He realizes with heartbreaking clarity that she loved him all along. If only he had felt sooner, they could have shared their grief. They could have been a family, a support in the darkness. They could have walked through life together, side by side. Bianca whispers that they might have stayed together if only. Crash is left in the crushing silence of his own regret. He wakes up battered and broken in a hospital bed. Their hands meet, a fragile connection in a fragile world. She is there, his anchor in the storm of his recovery. He asks if they are in Hardenhearts, his mind still reeling. The Raven explains how they barely made it out alive. Crash winces, the pain of his injuries grounding him in reality. He holds the snowflake ornament, a symbol of their bond. She tries to fix it, her movements clumsy but filled with care. He thanks her. With her help, he can finally create the elixir. Bianca approaches, her expression unreadable yet profound. She admits she still lacks emotions despite everything he did. It's frustrating, a void where her heart should be. She wants to laugh and cry with him, to truly be human. She wants to share his anger, to be a partner in his life. But she fears losing the real him to the curse of indifference. Crash smiles, promising that the curse will not consume them. He reaches out, their hands intertwined in a promise. She begs him to bring her emotions back to make her whole. Crash vows to do it no matter the cost. The lock on her heart begins to shatter, a new condition met. She realizes this was his intention all along. He offers his hand, a gesture of absolute trust. A genuine smile breaks across his face, lighting up the room. They embrace, a moment of pure, unadulterated connection. Bianca finally cries, the dam of her emotions breaking at last. With their feelings finally shared, the world no longer looks gray. After the brutal battle, Crash and Bianca are finally safe, recovering in the quiet of Blue Pine Hall. They share a moment of relief, the weight of the near-death experience still lingering between them. Crash notices Bianca's expression. She's returned to her stoic, blank self, and he wonders if she's struggling to process her newfound humanity. The silence is broken when Jenica Hardenhearts arrives requesting an audience with Crash. Bianca is visibly startled by the interruption, her guard instantly going up. Crash Protective as ever immediately notices Bianca's injury and demands to know what happened to her. Jenica explains she's here to invite Bianca to lunch, noting that Crash is still too injured to move freely. Crash is suspicious, wondering if the Hardenhearts family is trying to isolate them for a private confrontation. As Jenica leaves, Crash realizes Bianca did not even look at her. The tension is palpable. Crash recalls the past. In his previous life, Jenica eventually apologized to Bianca, and he hopes history repeats itself. He reassures Bianca that she does not owe anyone forgiveness and that they can just leave this place behind. Bianca looks at him, surprised by his genuine concern. She seems overwhelmed, struggling to navigate the complex emotions surfacing within her. Then a breakthrough, a small genuine smile touches her lips as she admits, right now, I feel happy. With that weight lifted, Crash bids her farewell for the moment, though their bond is stronger than ever. Once alone, Crash calls for his familiar Evlesk to keep a close watch on the Hardenhearts family. He sends his shadow rats to spy, determined to ensure no one says anything unnecessary to Bianca. He's ready to burn the house down if anyone threatens her, even while he is still missing an arm. The Raven mocks his intensity, questioning if he can really pull off his grand schemes in such a broken state. Crash brushes off the concern, confident that he can find a way to heal his body. He considers seeking out a saint from the Holy Kingdom known for their miraculous healing powers. But he knows House Valheim will not waste resources on a failure like him, so he decides to take matters into his own hands. He reveals his plan to replace his missing arm with something far more powerful. He's recruiting the Sword Demon, a legendary figure whose skills he intends to claim for himself. He recalls the Sword Demon's past, a master of the quick draw art who could end fights in a heartbeat. The Raven is stunned by his cold, calculating ambition, calling him a dark-hearted regressor. Crash does not deny it. He's doing whatever it takes to survive and protect what matters. The Raven is horrified, realizing the extent of Crash's plan to harvest the power of his own subordinates. The Sword Demon was a powerhouse who once shook the world, and now his legacy is a target. The Raven screams in protest, trying to protect the subordinate he raised with such care. Crash coldly retorts that if the Raven wants him stronger, he needs to stop coddling his favorites. The Raven falls silent, realizing that Crash sees through his facade of indifference. Crash knows the secret to defeating the Crimson Garden, finding the true body by watching the subordinates. He explains that the Crimson Garden grows attached to his people, and that emotional link is his fatal weakness. They plan to use the Saints to heal and torture the subordinates until the location is revealed. Even Crash finds the strategy brutal, a dark echo of the lessons he learned from Arthur. He presses the Raven for the Sword Demon's secrets, intending to transplant that legendary skill into his own body. He argues that the Sword Demon would want his art to live on even if it's through a new host. The Raven concedes, acknowledging that Crash's words are as smooth as his heart is cold. 2 days, the Raven says. Just wait 2 days. Crash thanks him but warns the Raven not to get too comfortable with his demands. He looks at his bandaged stump, knowing the arm problem is about to be solved. Now he has to navigate the political fallout with House Valheim and the Hardenhearts family. He's worried about Ariad, who has been reporting his location to the wrong people. He decides to just have Ariad ignore the situation. He does not think the man cares about him anyway. His familiar senses that something is wrong, a bad feeling hanging in the air. Back in the dining hall, Bianca is firm. I refuse. Miriok and Hardenhearts is demanding she give up her position as fiancée to Jenica. He's terrified that if Crash's power fully awakens, he'll become the family's ultimate weapon. Bianca stands her ground, declaring that protecting her place by Crash's side is her only priority. Miriakin lashes out, calling her cursed and claiming Crash will discard her soon. Jenica tries to intervene, but Miriakin is relentless, spewing insults at both of them. He demands to know why the family should even care about her, pushing her to the brink. Bianca retorts that she never cared about the house anyway, and she knows they never cared for her. She makes her choice clear. She's staying with Crash no matter what happens to her title. Miriakin is furious, his face twisted in rage at her defiance. Suddenly, the door bursts open. Crash has arrived to settle this once and for all. He's heard everything from the hallway and is not about to let this slide. Miriakin tries to dismiss him, telling him to go back to bed, but Crash holds up 2 fingers. He lays out the rumors. He's the hero who saved his fiancée, and the Hardenhearts family looks weak for letting the enemy in. He paints a picture of a family in mortal danger without him using their own reputation against them. He asks Miriakin which rumor is more convenient for the family to believe. Miriakin is backed into a corner, his arrogance crumbling. Crash offers a simple solution. Let Bianca decide her own future, engagement and all. Miriakin is stunned, realizing he's lost control of the situation. Crash pulls Bianca close, declaring he does not care about curses. He's staying with her. Miriakin finally relents, agreeing to entrust Bianca to him, but he has one final demand. Crash proposes a lie. They'll report that his arm was healed by a priest, saving the family the cost of a real one. Miriakin is confused by the plan, but agrees to follow along, desperate to save face. As they leave, Jenica whispers to her brother, shocked by the shift in Bianca. Bianca has changed, she notes, wondering if they should just let them be. Crash's hand rests on the documents, his power subtly shifting the reality of the room. He stands tall, the shadow of his future self looming as he whispers, Crash, the game has only just begun.